What a nerd.
Nerds.
Nerds.
Nerds! I'm not kissing a nerd.
What is a nerd?
Holy crap, are we nerdy?
Our Friday experience was pretty great. We got in. They mailed us our tickets. We just walked in the door.
Well, you guys are D23 members, right?
Well, we're silver members.
No, I'm
a silver
not.
member. But that doesn't matter because if you bought your tickets in advance, they mailed you your ticket. And you could just walk in.
So welcome to Nerdables, episode 98. As you can tell, we are talking D23. It was the big event this weekend that seemed to captivate everybody. I don't care what news media you were listening to or viewing or typing or listening. I don't know. It was just everywhere. Sebastian, you're joining us again. Shawna's here. You both went on Friday. Kris, Ethan, I know you guys didn't go, but you wanted to, and you were still catching up on all the no's and the nose. You were catching up on all the no's.
The nose?
The nose and the news.
Oh.
I don't know. Did Ethan, did you really want to go?
I had no real interest to go, no. So
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think Ethan really wanted to go.
You didn't want to go at first, but you kind of wish you did, don't
No,
you?
I wanted to go. I'm not paying $75 for a single day
Yeah.
to go to a convention that isn't completely...
Even the kids' tickets were, there really
No,
was
it
no
was
kids'
crazy.
tickets. I
It
mean,
was like $75 for a single day for me.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm like, WonderCon is $60 for the entire weekend or whatever. And so it was hard to justify that
yeah.
cost.
I can understand that. D23 has always been expensive because they do want to
Keep it more.
They want to keep it more like this is specifically for Disney people.
Yeah.
So
I understood the
yeah.
price. It just wasn't something.
No, yeah, but it is like, and the earlier you buy, the cheaper they are.
Yes.
But when you can't decide, or if you don't know you're going to go till the last minute, it can be pretty expensive.
Yeah, and there's still like 3 more fall conventions that I'm going to end up at this year.
Yeah, I know. I was like, this is my 4th major convention of the year.
We'll do Kamikaze, Long Beach, and just one other that I'm forgetting that I remember. Like, I think we're going to that too.
The Santa Barbara one?
No.
the hangar one?
The Central Coast one? No.
Yeah. Okay, so Sebastian, you and Shawna were there on Friday. Was it crazy getting into it? Because I know when I was there on Sunday, there were like 3 or 4 lines. You had your gold and silver membership, then you had whatever the first panel was, and then you had the general.
Right. Our experience was not crazy, but we could see the craziness to pick up badges. We ordered in advance enough that they mailed us our ticket, and we didn't need to do anything. The only thing that they asked us if we wanted to do was go pick up a lanyard,
Right.
but the line for the lanyard was kind of dumb and
Yeah, it was less of a line and more of like a mob.
to get lanyards. And then we looked
like
at
a mob
the
to get in
lanyards,
line.
And the lanyards are just a simple black lanyard.
Simple black, little strip.
So they just said, like, look, if you don't get one, you can go in anyway. We just walked to the door and said, yeah, as long as you can pull your ticket out of your bag, you're fine. Yeah. So we just got in 5 minutes, walked the floor, put our badges back in our bags, and they let us explore.
And we only had to pull out our badges, once or twice?
To get into the Mickey's of Glendale and the Dream Store.
Once you're inside.
Yeah, once you're inside, they want to make sure that because they knew people wouldn't have lanyards,
right.
they wanted to double check that you were at least.
Because on Sunday, when I was walking in and out, every time I walked out of the door, even on the concourse, you know how they had, you had the will call and everything separate from where the bag pickup was?
Yes.
Okay, every time you went through one of those little stations, they scanned your ticket. You scanned your badge.
Right.
Sure.
They did that for us too, but we didn't really leave the hall very much.
Yeah.
But when we got in line for the actual stores, then it was just like, as long as you show it to us, we're fine.
Right.
No, so our experience was, I'm sure, not unique. Mm-hmm. We got there about 10 o'clock.
Yeah, like 10 or 10:30. The gold and silver members they've already been long. It's already been a long time since they got in.
Yeah, they got to go in an hour ahead of everybody else, but
which was a nice little thing.
They pay for the membership to do it.
Well,
I have it, and I didn't realize I could have gotten in an hour early. But if I was going to be the only person getting in an hour early, it's not worth it.
But you still because when I went and picked up my tickets at Will Call on Saturday, they were like, "Yeah, I'm glad you weren't here yesterday. Friday was just nuts. We had no idea with the lines. We didn't expect that many people, but now we got things a little bit under control. We know what we're going to do, and if you line up in a certain line, if you're gold and silver, you can get in an hour early. But even when we lined up, I walked out of the hotel because we stayed at the Hilton, and I walked out of the hotel at 6:30, and the line was at the Hilton where you have the entrance to go to the food court. and everything?
Right.
Okay, the line for the Gold and Silver was right there from the main door. I walked back into the hotel, back up to my room, and back down. Probably gone about 5 minutes just to get my badge, and the line had already moved all the way down, almost to the end of the building.
Dang.
Yeah, within like 5-10 minutes.
Well, and I'm even happier that we ordered our badges ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because they just mailed them to us, and it's like, okay, it's just a giant ticket essentially.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I remember how like we saw that will call line on Friday. It was just a massive
It
thing
was
of people.
just like a blob of people.
A blob. That was it. Not even a mob. A blob.
Yeah. It was,
This sounds a lot like Celebration.
Oh, it was.
Like if you
Yeah,
weren't,
kind of.
if you weren't there at Celebration early, because I got there less than an hour after Rich did, and Rich was able to get in fairly easily. But within that hour, the line was on the other side of the Hilton, and there's just 4 like tentacles, just lines in different places, and they tried to put everybody together. It was an absolute mess.
right, because then they had
was
like
a
that,
nightmare.
like they took like a good quarter of the convention center just for the line badge pickup.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
the whole basement
room,
was.
the whole
Yeah.
room was done in the basement. But yeah, by that point, the line had gone out straight out of the convention center, down that long walkway, around the Hilton, around the parking lot, and then they built another line that went down towards the street on the other way, and then they merged our lines together as we went in terms of Celebration, and it was just.
Yeah.
And this sounds a lot like it, just an absolute
And there was
massive humanity.
There was you could definitely tell both of them were hosted by Disney. The one thing that
Again, it makes you. I never thought I'd say it, but it makes you really appreciate the people that CCI hires to do WonderCon and Comic Con. They figured out how to do as much people as they have, as many people that are there for something like San Diego or even WonderCon. They do a very good job of managing it to the best of their ability. I mean, you're not gonna corral as many people who are in San Diego and have it work perfectly.
Right.
But WonderCon is just no problem. WonderCon was so
see,
easy
and this
to
is
get
what
around.
we've been talking about. This is what you and I've talked about, and even Ethan's talked about. In the past, where everybody keeps talking about Comic-Con moving to Anaheim, it would just be there would have to be that time period of readjustment and trying to learn the process again, because they do in San Diego. They have it down. They've done it for so long.
Yeah, they know where they're at and where they're going. And
Yeah. Now, the weird thing I noticed when I was standing in line, before we even get into the building, the people standing in line were so different than what you get at any other con. I mean, it was like, I'm standing there behind a
You
woman.
mean they didn't smell like BO and?
Yeah, they're dressed like they're going to brunch or they're going to, play golf or something.
Yeah, like that's like a real like a Disney crowd, like you're going to Disneyland.
Yeah,
almost, you know?
exactly.
Yeah, it's a very refreshing going to D23. When you go to the regular conventions, everyone there is a lot more.
Like put together.
Yeah,
I'd
a lot
say.
more put together. They're less disheveled.
I mean, at the D20, at D23.
At D23
Yeah.
versus any other convention, like everyone is clean showered.
Oh, yeah.
They don't smell like low tide.
Yeah, they don't smell like low tide from camping outside. And even they were letting people line up really early in the morning, but they weren't letting people camp out overnight, which was nice. Like,
But I could just see there was
So
kind of
no
like,
rats, huh?
yeah, no rats and
Rats are-
roaches.
there was kind of that snootiness of the Comic-Con crowd is starting to come over into our con.
And for me, it's like as much as like it's like I feel that it's like I can understand that frustration because because the Comic-Con crowd is gross. I
Yes.
mean, there's no other way to put it when they're
Hey,
sleeping
that's what
out.
you're talking about.
Yeah, we don't sleep outside in the harbor
That's
and
true. True.
leave a mess so bad that there's rats and roaches and it becomes a health hazard. Like, no, you know what? No, please stay away, nerds. Stay.
Well, D23 has always been, to me, as a smaller convention. I didn't even know about it until like 2-3 years ago. I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah.
And then it was like that. And yeah, because it was so different. And also at the time, Disney didn't have the properties they have now. I mean, D23
Correct.
as a convention before Marvel and Star Wars show up is basically, hey, you're going to find out what's happening in animation or Pixar or whatever.
Yeah.
So I imagine it wasn't that type of crowd.
And there were a lot of park attendees, and which that was the one thing is when I was standing in line on Sunday, and we'll get to the details of what was announced a little bit, but there were people that were like, Star Wars is coming to the park, and it's just going to be a mess. I can't believe they're spending so much time and so much effort to expand the park and just do it for Star Wars when there's other things that need to be done and expanded. And I'm like, because Star Wars is going to bring in
Yeah, Star Wars is
another
big.
$4 billion.
And Star Wars is awesome.
It's,
Have they
it's
forgotten
the
that?
one thing. It's like
really, my counter to that is what else do they really need to expand? What's left?
Yeah.
Unless you're going to do something based completely on the movies of Pixar, I don't know. There's nothing.
And they do
left.
that already, but that's the thing. Is
Well, it's like
I think a lot of people
else are you gonna
forget
do?
that
Cinderella's
the parks
castle needs a new fresh paint of coat or coat of paint.
The parks
do
I like
that
the
all
fresh
the
painted coat. I don't know
Fresh
what the
painted
painted
coat.
coat is, but that's going to be the
Yeah, it's just I think a lot of times it's easy to forget that.
Well, look.
Disney parks are entirely based, like the rides are almost all themed around Disney properties.
Yeah.
for the most part, or they were whatever
they're
kind of
completely
land they were
original,
in.
yeah.
Right.
And it's just like, what are you going to do? What else are you going to add to Adventureland? What else are you going to add
Right,
to
and it's like they've
Frontierland?
already
What are
got
you gonna do?
Pirates of the Caribbean and Indiana
Right.
Jones, so it's like a Star Wars land to make sense since they can't do Marvel.
This sounds so much like a microcosm of that greater con experience, where there's a lot, or a greater pop culture experience, where you had comic book fans, sci-fi fans, who were a very close-knit group, who were very much this insular group, and then everybody else, I keep talking about that nuevo douche that comes inside, but really just that mainstream that starts attacking you, quote unquote. It's the same thing here. You have Disney that was a very insular type of fandom that people were absolutely nuts for, and now if you're a fan of Star Wars or Marvel, you're a fan of Disney in a way.
Right.
You go to D23 now because they're making a ton of Star Wars announcements.
Oh,
They're
look at the announcements.
Marvel announcements.
Yeah.
Exactly, and we'll get to those. But that's the thing. D23 is a huge con now because it's a Star Wars con.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing I noticed was that I talked about the way people were dressed, and there were a lot, like nearly everybody around us in line was from Florida. I mean, it was just
because they're not going to get this for another year.
Yeah,
or something similar to it, anyways. But it's also there's a lot more professionals at D23 because that Disney is a huge hub of the entertainment and theme park industry. So they go there, unlike Comic-Con, where everybody hides away and they don't let anybody walk around the show floor.
It's a lot like E3.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Because D3 is sort of, E3 in the old days used to be. It's a professional convention that they let normal people into.
Yeah, I think part of the reason when you're saying that there's a different type of crowd there is also because of how expensive it is.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people already are paying for that membership that allows them in. Other people are paying a really hefty sum of money just to go in for one day. That attracts a different crowd than who's going to show up to a lot of other conventions.
Right.
Or, going to Comic-Con is, I've spent all my money just to get down here.
Right. Well, I mean, it definitely is more of a trade show feel. It's more like a NAMM or a CES, and some of those.
Right, because you can walk down and you can see Imagineers left and right, that are there for meetings, but it's also because they want to see how people are reacting to
That was something new I saw too. Was they had a section set up for autographs, and the people that they had there were all Imagineers.
Right.
And they had lines of people standing there.
So it was all Imagineers and animators and voice actors versus, you go to Comic-Con and it's Boomer from the original Battlestar Galactica.
Well, no, it's when you go to Comic-Con and you go through the actual comic and artist section, you're like,
artist style,
look, that's Walter Simonson and Art Adams and Mark Schultz and Adam Hughes, and you're just like,
and they're all by themselves.
That older group, that insular group, that's what they get excited about versus, the TV and movie stuff that's there. I imagine Disney's the same way, where you have people going in that know who built which ride and who animated what, and stuff like that. Something that I wouldn't know, but something that what Sebastian would know and appreciate. So it's just a different
Floyd
crowd.
Norman was there, and he's one of the animators for Sleeping Beauty, my favorite movie. So someone was like, "Oh, he's sitting right over there. That's kind of awesome." And would be, unless you're an animation buff, would be a nobody. Versus like, oh, you're going to a convention and look, Nathan Fillion is signing, and everyone's like, oh my god, Castle.
That's why they're going Castle.
Yeah, Castle.
Had nothing to do with Firefly or anything.
Castle.
Not at all.
And we saw Tony Baxter walking around.
Yeah, Tony Baxter was second time too, because we saw him at Comic-Con just walking around, and what was perfect, like at D23, Tony Baxter walking around is like, oh my god, it's the guy who created Splash Mountain and Big Thunder. And everybody knows who he is. And at Comic-Con, it's just him and his wife alone, and we could get a picture with him, and there's no problem because nobody knows who he is there.
And he's just like, why are these kids asking for a picture with us?
It's like, how do you know who I am?
I want the Kevin and Bean Family Guy trouble. I have no idea who any of these people are.
So, got in the building.
So we got in the building.
What'd you think of what would you think of the layout of the floor?
The layout of the floor was not much different than it's been in years. The only big difference is the big panel rooms upstairs were still there, but they also use, I believe, like the second or third floor. Originally, like a couple of years ago, they did like a museum of Disney films.
Right.
And that was on like the third floor, completely separate from the convention floor. And this year, because they tried to make the con a little more intimate, they could fit it in, which is fine.
Right.
You know, the Disney parks has a very specific timeline versus their movies. Like when they did their movies, it was you know props from hundreds of different films.
Right.
Versus the theme park, which is like, okay, here's a ride vehicle. You know, that only takes up a certain amount of space. A lot of documentation. They had like Disney's original script for the opening day. So a lot of little things. The first ticket number 1.
Yes. Who was that sold to?
Walt Disney himself.
No.
Well,
Roy Disney's number 1.
Roy Disney's number 1.
And it's 001.
Yeah, and then they have Walt's badge.
Walt's badge
They
is
only
number
expected
1.
999 people to show up.
Do you know how much the first park ticket was?
I don't want to know.
$1.
Yeah.
It was $1.
It took 60 years to go to $100.
Well, it was $1 for entry, but then you bought ticket books like an old fair.
Yeah.
And then the ticket books you used to redeem, and then you could just go and buy another ticket book when you wanted to continue riding rides.
Right. So, and they used the third floor, the big panel room. That's probably the second biggest one in the convention center, other than the arena. They used that as the D23 stage.
Yeah.
And that's where they had their, the movie announcements, the Legends panel. Yeah.
The one and what I like that D23 does that is very smart. That I greatly appreciate that I know is the big. What I do appreciate from what D23 does that I'm sure a lot of people hate is that D23 schedules big panels simultaneously.
Yes.
To divide the crowd, and I wish more cons would adopt that because when you
Divide and conquer.
Exactly.
But what I
when
love,
you have Star Wars going on at the same time as like a big Disney Parks panel, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to have to make that choice.
and they only
choose Star Wars.
But here's the thing. What I really loved about this was that they give you the times of the panels, and then you have to go through a queue to get a bracelet. And when you get the bracelet, that's how you get admission into the panel.
Right. They don't let you line up in like the panel room. You have your bracelet for the panel, and you're kind of done.
So they know how many. And then once the panel's finished, they clear out the room.
Right.
I really think that Hall H needs to be done more
that's
like
what
that.
I've wanted that for Comic-Con for years.
Oh, you don't want that for Hall H.
Yes.
No, you don't.
I know what you're
No,
going to say
you
is
don't.
because then there's more people on the floor.
Yeah, because you're gonna rotate people out of Hall H for an entire day. F that. Terrible idea. It's just the thing is that works great for a convention like D23 where it's much smaller. I mean, as big and crazy as people said, it's the smallest convention that you'll go to. Out of these big ones.
It's
the only thing that'll
floor
come
size
close
was
is
smaller than was WonderCon.
Yeah, WonderCon is the closest thing that you'll see in terms of attendance. But even then, you don't have anything as big as the type of panels that they're doing at D23.
Right.
But the amount of people there, the smaller amount of people, you can do something like that. That's never going to work at a con the same size as.
Right.
It's
a pipe dream.
In a way, it makes
the amount of money they'd have to spend to actually make the bracelets, even if they're out of paper, isn't worth the time and energy to do it.
the fact that for the main floor it would be worse, but it gives more people an opportunity to go to those panels.
But it doesn't. But here's the thing: it gives more people to go an opportunity to what panel?
But that's just it. Yeah, I mean,
Everyone's still
going
going to want to go to the same panel. Look, none of us are sitting here going, I really wish Star Wars wasn't that Saturday night because they're showing some stupid trailer for some TV show that we've never even heard of first thing in the morning. That's not. I don't think there's enough people that are doing it. You're still going to want to go to the same 15 panels at Comic-Con that you always do. I want to go to Star Wars. I want to go to Marvel. I want to go to DC. I want to go to Game of Thrones. I want to go to Big Bang Theory. So that's all you're ever going to do. So all those people are going to try and get those bracelets. And yes, if you don't get that bracelet, then you can go try and find something else. This is when movies used to counter-program. When Star Wars sold out, there's some weird rom-com there because when you go to the movie theater at the time before the internet and you go, oh, it's sold out? Well, we're here. We're going to see something.
Right.
We'll go see that film. That's the thing. Like, if we can't get into Big Bang Theory, maybe we'll go to Warehouse 13 or whatever. But it's just
I
that
just swear I
amount
was
of people.
13.
That amount of people, it's never going to work.
No. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's something I want, but it's one of those things. I know it's really hard, but that's the thing is like those panels, because they did the stage passes, which were essentially fast passes for panels,
Right.
and everything, straight away in the morning was gone for stage passes. But again, it's a limited number. It's only a couple hundred people. It's not a room filling pass. But yeah, as much as but I do like that because then it's like, okay, there's two large groups of people off the floor. One group is going to the Disney 60th, and the other is going to the the Legends panel.
Yes.
Or like, okay, well, Marvel and Star Wars are basically at the same time on Saturday, so you have.
They must have killed somebody.
You have the Marvel.
Well, no,
fans.
You had they did it all as one. They did they
Right.
did the movies. They did movies as one. Then they did Pixar's one, and I think the Pixar one or the animated one and the movie one was simultaneous.
Yes, that was simultaneous, and that's again, you're getting a lot. You're dividing
You
huge
realize
numbers
Pixar
of
in the
people.
movies, right?
Yeah, but
You mean Pixar and live action?
That's why I said animation.
Yeah,
That's
but
why I
it's-
went back to.
So Pixar and live action movies were separate.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you get a huge number of people divided because then they're going to have to pick. Do they want to see do they want to see like the announcement for Frozen 2, the
Right.
cast of Frozen, or do they want?
Well, that's why I think they made a deal. They made a big deal beforehand that there would not be a new Star Wars trailer as well.
Right.
To let
Right.
people make that choice with as much information that there could be something special there. But if you're going saying, I have to go to Star Wars because the third trailer is going to be there and it's not there, you gave up on going to the Pixar one, that would just be death.
Right.
So I think that was the right choice to say beforehand, there's no new trailer. It's going to be news, you're going to see new pictures, or you're going to see whatever, and there'll be something cool there. But if you think you're seeing a trailer before everybody else, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Right. No, Disney's very, very clear about what they intend on doing, and they don't try and it's not like, when you go to Comic-Con, and by the way, everybody, they pull, Steve Jobs and one more thing.
Right.
There's a trailer, and everyone's like, oh, shit, and over there it's like, no, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get a panel that maybe, they'll play, and, something special for after, and it's like, oh.
We're going to screw over Kevin Smith again.
And it's
Poor
a
Kevin
poster.
Smith.
They were giving out movie
I thought that would have
posters.
been the greatest thing is if they did the same thing at D23. They scheduled Kevin Smith after the Star Wars panel, and they just cleared out.
Did you hear what happened to him during that when they were handing out all of the badges to get into the concert? They kept trying to hand him one. He's like, no, even though I'd love to go, I have a panel. He's like, I really want to leave and not do my panel and go to this, but
Nobody did.
but Abrams came up to him after because, you know what, I'm so sorry.
That's the worst planning day ever.
And he goes, I wouldn't have done this to my worst enemy, let alone somebody that I actually care about and I consider a friend. He goes, I am really, really sorry, man. Smith walked out. I said his worst fear was walking to a theater that was half empty. He said he realized that, but it was worse because it was only a third full. He's like,
Yeah, he walked into a gigantic
Auditorium
arena. Yeah,
with
auditorium.
nobody in it.
there was like 1,000 people left.
Yeah, that's insane.
Sad.
I know.
I wish I would have known that. Like, we should have gone to Hall H that
I know,
night.
I
And
would've
just been
gone.
Dude, we would have just walked right in. Yo, what's up? Hey, what's happening? Like, you'd actually be able to talk to Kevin Smith if you're a third of the way down the floor. What's up, bro? Hey, what's going on?
Want to talk about Jersey?
Oh. Tusk is worse. So, Friday, the biggest thing that happened was the Legends panel.
Legends panel, yeah. Well, they did the Imagineer Legends.
Yes.
They did that, and then they also did the regular, just, people who've worked for Disney, like Johnny Depp.
Well, that was the surprise one.
That was the big one.
Because George Lucas was
There.
inducted.
He was inducted into the Disney Legends. I've got my list here just in case.
Okay.
Danny
Fascinating,
Elfman.
considering he's never actually worked for Disney.
Well, because of,
Well,
but
he still
he's still a legend.
I
Because,
know,
He
but
still
it's just-
owns shares in Lucasfilm
Yeah,
too.
But
so.
the other thing is because of Star Tours and the Indiana Jones rides. Yeah.
Yeah, Danny Elfman got in there
Yes.
as well.
What has that guy done?
Well, he's done so much.
So much nothing.
That's called sarcasm.
So much for the
A
world.
whole
I
lot
went,
of nothing.
I went to see the music of Tim Burton, basically, with the Danny Elfman music. of Tim
Really,
Burton
yeah.
last year.
Dun, 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 dun.
Like every Jerry Bruckheimer film,
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
which nearly all of them are Disney now.
it was the big surprise because these are greats in their industry, and they do them every year. And the same goes for Imagineers, and they do like their animators and stuff like that. So
and then Depp was the last one that was a surprise.
He was
to
the
everyone.
surprise one because he was not listed. But I mean, they also did the same thing for Harrison Ford, who was there. They didn't tell anybody about that.
making me a legend.
Which there's a great picture that comes from the Saturday the Saturday panel.
Right.
That must have been hilarious to have him talk to Johnny Depp if he was doing the
But Johnny Depp was in character as
just have a hard time. Oh, it was old.
Right, and the guy who has like borderline social phobia, talking to probably the most out there human being on the planet who just wants to talk.
I haven't seen any of your movies. I don't know who you are. Does someone want to talk to Harrison? I think he fell asleep. The plane's going down. And I love Harrison Ford, but it's just
it's just so much fun to do. But I was watching. Do the whole podcast as Harrison Ford. Hey Chris, you remember that?
So Friday, it was
so amazing.
You can
You're
understand.
too loud.
You're
You're too
terrible.
loud.
You're just sorry.
You do a whole episode of him and Harrison Ford and Clint Eastwood
No,
together.
you do a whole episode of Harrison Ford and Chewbacca.
Okay, so give us a list of legends
Okay, so I got my legend. See, I changed my list now.
before we lose everybody to sleep with Harrison Ford.
For Harrison.
Harrison Ford does bedtime stories. That's the podcast. You need to do.
All right, so Andreas Deha, he did a lot of movies. He worked on like Aladdin and Hunchback and Hercules. You'll probably see him on a lot of the Disney DVDs and the Blu-rays and stuff talking about the films because he's also partly a historian.
That's cool.
Yeah, Carson Van Outen was there. He did a lot of the Mickey Mouse comics in the 70s. Danny Elfman. George Bodenheimer, he was another because it's ESPN, so that's part of the Disney umbrella.
Yep.
He did a lot of work for ESPN. George Lucas, who created Star Wars,
He did something.
He's the guy that did Tucker.
He created and destroyed Star Wars. I mean,
He did Tucker and Willow and Radioland Murders. So that's all he's known for.
he also did Howard the Duck.
He also did Red Tail.
If you're going to do,
and American Graffiti.
well, I was going to say if you're doing the bad ones.
Graffiti, everyone says it's a good movie.
Chris is just going with the ones that are considered bad. Even though Willow, you put
Red
Willow in
Tails.
that list.
Red Tails, he creator of Red Tails.
That's what I said. I put Red Tails at the end. There's a good movie inside of Red Tails, but it's just not.
It's like an hour too long.
Well, the other problem is Neo's in it, and you have no idea what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah.
Neo is the most offensive character you can get. I know it's supposed to be accurate, but I have no idea what the hell he's saying.
So who else?
Julie Castelletto, so if you're an older listener, she was one of the first Disney ambassadors for Disneyland who used to do promotional stuff for them and be at the parks. And then
She was the Walmart greeter of Disneyland.
yeah, basically.
Hi, hello.
But she
Welcome
would
to
also
Disney.
do
Welcome
stuff for
to
the
My
TV
God,
show.
there's so many people here.
And the last one, I think the creator of she was one of the actresses of All My Children. She's been on the show for like the longest period of time.
I think a lot of
For like
people.
70 years.
Yeah, Suzanne Lucy.
Yeah. I don't think it's 70 years. Susan
That's what
Lucci
it
isn't
feels
that.
like.
Susan, but she's also
It took her
the-
23 years to win a daytime
was just gonna
Emmy,
say
but
that.
yeah, she's not on the show for 70 years.
Yeah, she's
I
been
think
on, they're putting it at 4 decades. So
yeah,
she's been
she's been on the show for 4 separate decades.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people forget.
70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s.
I think a lot of people
Is that show even
forget-
still on the air anymore? I
Yeah.
thought
Yeah,
they
it
removed
is.
like a bunch of the soaps.
They
off
did,
there.
but it's like that and
that one
and
is still
one other one or something.
Days of Our Lives. or
Yeah,
something.
like the Days of Our Lives and that show are like the 2 longest running shows in history.
And General Hospital still on?
I don't think General Hospital's still on.
Welcome to Nerdables, where we talk soap operas.
Do the soap opera one.
Stories.
No, I think a lot of people forget what Disney owns. I think a lot of people forget that Disney owns ESPN.
Well,
Yeah.
Which, if you want to know what revitalized Disney, the money from ESPN.
ESPN did
The
a
ESPN money.
Well, buying
I read the
ABC
first.
too.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing. It's ABC and ESPN, yes, but ESPN has the best deal in the history of cable because it's a perpetual percentage rate hike every single year. If you read, oh God, what was the name of the book? It's one of those like not tell-all books, whatever, but it's the history of ESPN through interviews.
Right.
And the owner of, or one of the runners of ESPN at the time, he outlines this deal, and it's insane, and it's why ESPN is easily the highest paid cable channel. You're as a subscriber, you're paying more for ESPN than anything else. That money,
the ESPN family of channels,
just ESPN alone, just to carry ESPN itself,
it's
up into double digits.
They've dropped off the two basic packages for DirecTV. They dropped the ESPN off.
That's why. Yeah. This is Time Warner Cable's not to get into Southern California stuff. This is Time Warner Cable's deal with the Dodgers. Is they're trying to force DirecTV to pay them $7 per subscriber.
Right.
And DirecTV's telling them, we don't even pay ESPN that. Whatever their deal is, we're not paying you that sort of thing. But the ESPN makes a ton of money, and a lot of that money went back into Disney.
Right.
Can you imagine Mickey doing SportsCenter?
I'm sure it's happening.
He's been in a lot of sports shorts. He's an athletic mouse.
There's some version of it out there somewhere.
Well, it's also the Disney company, Walt Disney, created the first multimedia corporation in America, and he because of just his experimental nature. The dog is showing.
The dog wants to be on.
Yeah.
Hit the mic. No, get this out of here. Pay attention to me.
For Walt Disney, he wanted to experiment, and he wanted to try so much different stuff. So he's like, television is going to be the big thing. I'm telling you, television's going to get big. How about you, ABC? How about you help co-finance the park, and we'll do an exclusive show for you? And then a couple years later, he ends up making so much money he buys ABC.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. Most of the Disney, in the 70s,
radio,
all
music,
of them, yeah.
Radio, music, film, television, animation, newspapers, magazines, sporting events. Like, he's just like, for him, it's like, there's...
And they did a good job of owning stuff that people didn't know they owned.
Right.
I remember when we were younger trying to convince people that Touchstone was a Disney company.
Right.
As a studio.
Miramax.
Because they're like, well, we want to do films that aren't kid films, but we don't want to put the Disney name on them, so we're just going to create another studio and call it Touchstone.
Yep.
And that's where we'll release all of our R-rated films, and there you go.
And then
nobody knew that it was Disney.
Then they bought Miramax because they wanted more of an independent film company.
But it's also, even with that, just the technology alone, he created surround sound.
Yeah.
And brought
that's Lucas's thing too.
Yeah, and it's
like Lucas's biggest achievements besides creating blockbuster films is to shepherd those type of technologies.
Right.
That not only just in movie making in terms of ILM, but Skywalker sound and the type of stuff that they can do in terms of sound. And the stuff that him and Spielberg did the DTS that was big for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, was anybody really surprised when Disney bought Lucasfilm?
No,
because they were always went kind of hand in hand together.
I was surprised that they sold Lucasfilm.
I was surprised. That was the surprise.
If anybody was going to buy it, at that
Disney
point,
was
it was
the
going
surprise.
to be it was kind of what Time Warner used to do, or Ted Turner's company, where you're just like, you kind of understood when they started buying everybody. When Time Warner bought AOL, it's like, yeah, well, that makes sense. They're just trying to be the biggest company in the world. Viacom became that for a little while. Comcast has been that sort of thing, but nothing is like.
But Disney's been doing it for over 60 years.
Yeah, and Disney now is just sitting there going, "I'm just gonna whatever." Yeah,
but Disney,
I want this piece.
Most people don't know. Maker Studios has had a booth there. Disney owns Maker Studios. They do like the epic rap battles of history, Markiplier, PewDiePie, all work for Disney. PewDiePie. But that's the thing. It's like when the backlash was like, Disney bought Star Wars, they're gonna ruin everything. It's like, you know how much Disney owns?
Yeah, that's the Star Wars thing was the same thing with the Marvel thing, where it's like you knew they weren't going to screw up what was already there. They were going to take the things that already existed or didn't exist and expand. We're looking at something for Disney.
They've been doing the same model for years, decades.
And it's the other stuff.
These guys have been doing it for 70 years. They're not really out to ruin properties.
Right. They take what's there. They let Marvel do what, in terms of Marvel, they let Marvel Publishing do it as, we're not a publishing arm. We're not a publishing company.
Yeah,
we're a media company.
Exactly. We don't do publishing anymore.
So
we buy publishers.
You guys do what you need to do, and then we're going to take your property. And basically all it was is we don't have to buy it from Marvel anymore. It just goes right up the plot. This is Warner Brothers with DC Publishing. Warner Brothers has owned DC Publishing forever. And part of that deal was for, like, if we're going to make cartoons of Batman, why would we pay DC the rights to make a Batman cartoon when we can just own DC?
But the difference
just go straight up.
The difference is, though,
Warner Brothers is more hands-on with
That's
DC
exactly what I was
now.
gonna say.
Yeah,
but
now.
that's for a complete.
Yeah, no, that's for years they
another
didn't
time.
they didn't
They
touch
were
it.
very hands-on,
and it
for
was very
years.
and it was a very it was a relationship in which DC also flourished because their lower selling titles, they were allowed to continue to do them because they were getting money from Warner Brothers down. The Vertigo line, Karen Berger's admitted the only reason that existed was because Warner Brothers was subsidizing the money that they were losing on the Vertigo line when it first started.
Right.
And so it got to the point where they started to get these hits and they were able to be self-sustaining. But that's where that and Marvel's the same thing. You're sitting there as Marvel Publishing going, they're never going to be bankrupt again. I'll tell you that much.
Right.
The money is there. They can take their chances and do whatever, and then whatever hits, yes, you're going to lose it to, you're not going to be able to sell it to Fox. You're not going to be able to sell it to Sony. You're not going to be able to sell it to defunct Carlico Pictures or anything like that. It has to go to Marvel now.
Right. And it's kind of the reverse because the Marvel guys have hands-on work with the films.
For the most part, yeah.
For the most part, where they get to have input and they get to.
Well, when you're starting to see comic book writers show up as screenplay or producers or this,
well,
that,
a lot
and the
of it
others.
is story buy. I mean,
Right.
Ed Brubaker gets the Winter Soldier story buy because he created that.
Right.
The bare bones of that story is Ed Brubaker's story. So
And
he
they're
gets,
still getting input into the films. It's
It's
not
the-
like
it's the
Disney's
guys
going,
that did
we
stuff
don't want you to know.
40
we don't,
years ago, they get screwed at it, like Jim Starlin. With
Right. So, D23, Friday.
So there was also the Imagineering panel, but the big thing is that they did, like 60 years of Disney. The first big set of announcements was like the large reveal of Shanghai Disney, which is going to be the largest Disney theme park on the planet.
Because wasn't Tokyo Disney like the biggest one for a long time?
Tokyo was a big one for a while, but the Walt Disney World is 5 theme parks.
Now, I'm just saying, like,
Well,
I seem to
because
remember
Hong Kong,
when I was
thought
a
Hong
kid.
Kong was bigger
Hong
than.
Kong, yeah, they've
forgot
been
there
getting
is one.
exponentially bigger, but Shanghai's going to be the biggest. What was we were talking to one of the Imagineers, and they were saying that the main street and the opening from the castle is something on the order of 4 or 5 times larger than any of the other entrances to the parks.
Wow.
And they had
I'll be completely honest. I've never figured out why Disney doesn't buy plots of land in the middle of America.
Well, that's what they did when they opened. When they first opened Disneyland here in 1955, for the year beforehand, he was buying plots of orange groves here. And it wasn't. And then he had to stop because people were like, "This Disney guy is buying stuff." And then all the hotels started buying land around his park as he was purchasing land.
Right.
And he had to
but I'm
stop.
saying in terms of the type of numbers that you're talking about for Shanghai, the type of numbers I've seen in terms of land, that land exists here.
Well, they do because I know that there's a big plot of land.
Disney World, Walt Disney, he created dummy corporations to buy land in Florida, and it wasn't until a newspaper got wind of there's 4 companies buying all this land, but he was able to secure enough land for dozens of parks.
Right.
So
there's even one park that's defunct now.
Yeah,
that
there's
just-
a
Ghost
derelict,
Park,
there's
yeah,
a
it's
derelict
Didn't they close that Safari Kingdom or whatever?
No.
Animal
Kingdom's
still there.
expanding
They're
because
getting
that's
bigger.
where Pandora's going.
Yeah, they're doing the Pandora explorations there.
They're actually going to build a radio station there?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
It's
it's
gonna
No,
a
it's-
massive radio station.
So the official name is Pandora: The Adventures of
it's
Avatar or something.
Well, yeah, but the story behind it is that you're part of a company who's taking people there to on vacations to Pandora
To shoot lions.
to shoot lions. But the thing that we were talking about through the anime. Well, yeah, damn that Spielberg.
But real quick before we move on, to answer your question about buying in the Midwest and things like that, Disney owns a big plot of land in West Virginia because for years they talked about.
Well, I'm not
building-
talking West Virginia. I'm talking buying half of Kansas.
Wyoming.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Buying all of Kansas and making it
I mean,
Disney state.
There's places in Wyoming where the population is 1.
I mean, I guess because it's Wyoming is amazing. I guess it would be weather. Be the only thing. With
That
it.
was
Weather
the
would be
big
the
thing.
big one,
but Euro Disney
But
exists.
he can't. But the thing, I think the big issue is that Disney can't get away with that as easy here in America. In Shanghai, they can build a park of the size they like, and the Chinese government can okay, we're securing this land for you. We're going to try and stop people from getting their hotels up straight away. We're going to let you come in first, start construction.
Wait. You're saying the Chinese government is corrupt.
I am.
Wow.
But
I
but
don't
it's also
believe it.
not so
That's
much,
that's the People's Republic.
it is, but it's also one of those
Hey,
things.
we
like,
have
they've
listeners
been,
in China.
They've been.
No, we have people in China who click. Oh, they're talking about us. Click.
They've been very. I mean, and that's the thing is like, whatever the deal is specifically, but they've been allowed to purchase land and to basically do what they need to do before other land developers show up. Here, the moment somebody hears Disney is going to buy, 200 acres in the middle of Oklahoma, I guarantee you Hilton and Marriott will be there the next day buying up.
It just seems.
Well,
I
if
don't
you
know,
notice,
I mean, maybe it's just sort of a thing going. We're never going to go to Shanghai.
you notice
why can't they build that here?
the 14
Especially when you
acres?
saw the Tron ride. You're
Right.
like, ah!
I was having a freaking heart attack when I saw the video. I saw the video for that. It looks so cool.
Freaking light cycles.
Yeah, light cycle roller coaster, which looks amazing.
And it's getting the first Marvel attraction.
Yeah, they're getting a Marvel attraction there, which was not the big focus.
No.
Because they had already made that announcement. And I think it was smart because they're still doing a lot of construction, but they had Main Street stuff, the first Tron ride.
Yep.
And I got to talk to the designer there, and he was ecstatic.
Wait, you're not counting the People Mover video?
Did you see they had the original People Mover cars there?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they did.
That was amazing.
The
That's how long
first.
it's been since I've been there. I've never even seen the new cars.
Yeah, the new Pirates themed land. It's the first. It's not specifically Pirates of the Caribbean, but it is a Pirates
yes.
theme. It's the first Pirates land in Disney.
So it's Somalia. it's the east coast of Africa.
It's Chinese pirates.
I like how they did it though because they had like
Totally should.
they have
I mean,
adventure.
at this point, with the interested pirates, you could totally do that. You could do
Oh yeah.
Caribbean pirates. You could
That's
do
what-
English
yeah,
pirates.
that's the one thing
you
I
could do
noticed, like-
Shanghai pirates.
They don't
Pirates
go.
Across
African
History.
They don't do a lot. Like they show you their designs, and it's like, oh, okay, you can see like, oh, that guy's Jack Sparrow, and they're
Right.
doing this, that. But then
Let's gloss over the terrible history of
But
pirates.
but then you'll see like off in the corner, like that is Ken Watanabe's pirate tribe from the movie, and
Let them fight.
they've got speaking of Blizzards, they're gonna have like the largest animatronic they've ever built in the pirate section. It's like a giant
Like crocodile thing.
ancient Chinese god crocodile that will be
Godzilla.
fully moving.
No, they were going to build that for Peter Pan. They're like, wait, no, move it over here. Move it over here.
And it's, just some of the stuff that they're working on is crazy. Normally, the Imagineering thing is, a little bit more segregated from the rest of the show. But I think the open,
I like how they had it
because
set
they're
up
being
'cause-
very careful about what they're showing.
yeah, and they had it where you walked in. Obviously they had it right there around where they had the lights a lot lower. Where they had Pixar, they had Lucasfilm. They had the big
Costumes.
setup for Alice through the Looking Glass, and then all of a sudden you have the Shanghai set, which is really cool. And the other thing is along the wall. Did you notice that there were a few of the pieces that they've shown at Comic-Con at the Marvel booths and things like
Yes,
that? Like
yeah.
they had the pod from Guardians of the Galaxy that you could
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
pictures with. I'm like, I'm
And
so
you could
glad
finally
these
take a
things.
picture with it.
Yeah.
At Comic-Con, there was a wall of people, five lines thick.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh,
I hear there's dancing in this film. Let's get a picture with this pod.
what was actually kind
Let's
of
do a jig in front of the pod. Oh, the pod doesn't know what to do.
That's what I should have done.
Oh,
What I-
it's so
what I-
crazy.
the
I did
funny
the
thing
Running
is-
Man, and the pod's like, I don't know what to do.
The funny thing
can't
is, what I
fly
love about
anymore.
Disney fans, there was enough people buy it. It's like, what's this?
Yeah.
Like, oh, thank goodness, I can take a picture of it in peace and nobody
Yeah,
give
exactly.
a crap.
But there's a couple other pieces that I saw that were like that. They that were at different cons and things like that. You finally got up close to.
Yeah, the
like
Ant-Man suit.
the Ant-Man suit,
which you could get.
the
you-
Hulkbuster.
The Hulkbuster arm.
Uh-huh.
The arm from the prop arm from the movie.
Yeah, the one that you could see on the Marvel stage, and he was like, "Oh, look, there's a little tiny."
Yeah, and that was close enough that you could like. Nobody's looking. I could probably touch this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you could actually get like up close and personal.
Please move away from the arm.
Yeah, even like the Star Wars costume.
Yeah,
Be
that's
like-
what I was gonna say.
BB-8
The arm just
was-
turns on and just
It'll
goes
be
slashing
the
across the
it's,
face.
it's like the security from the
BB-8
Simpsons.
was like 2 feet away.
Yeah, you could like
puts
lean
him
over
as
and
a
be like,
whole.
I'm touching the robot. I'm touching BB-8.
yeah,
And then they also had
I can steal this right now and nobody would
But
know.
notice, I could just drive it around the con and people will think it's one I made. It's awesome.
they had the silver armor too. Which
Yeah, they had Captain Phasma's armor.
huh.
yeah, like it just felt really good to be like, okay, I can actually see this thing, I can breathe,
Right,
I
and-
could see
And
it.
it wasn't like a celebration where you kind of like had got hurried
Right.
through a little bit.
But because
We spent like an hour in that room.
even when we went like 2
It
years
took me
ago,
15 minutes just to take pictures of the snow trooper.
even when we went 2 years ago and we went to they had their movie exhibit everything is really close for people because they also know, like, people want to see this.
Yeah. Well, like the Radio Disney booth was right there, and they were interviewing the Disney stars and everything like that. And they were like, almost within harm's.
They don't do like
They were in harm's way.
That's what I was like. You could throw something at them real easy.
Oh my gosh, that girl from that thing! Ah! They don't put them 10 feet behind guards and staff. So it's kind of nice to they know what people want to see and they know how people want to see it. But I think that comes from 60 years of. No, we know we know what people want to see. We make theme parks. People want to be able to feel like they can be close, and even if they can't touch, they can have that. Like, I'm 2 feet away from BB-8,
right?
And when you were at Celebration, it was a 3-hour line to see it.
Yeah. And that was the other thing is you had to wait in that long ass line at Celebration.
Well, the day we didn't.
It was still pretty long.
It was 45 minutes.
Yeah, but he's just on the floor, and you can oh look, it's right over there. I mean, the distance is not like I'm sitting on this couch, the center of this table.
To Ethan's feet.
Yeah, is how far away it just maybe 4.5 feet.
Yeah,
it was just like.
It's a shame he's not going to be in the movie at all, huh, Rich?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Got edited out. I hear.
Well, no.
He's
going to be a very small part.
I figured it was going to be a
minor
small part.
I'm sure he'll just explode. He'll sacrifice himself.
But Jesus, the toy, it's in every single thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
No.
Okay, so anything else on Friday?
Shops.
Because we spent more on Friday than they did.
Shops.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
Yeah.
Shops. I bought 5 T-shirts. They did Uniqlo. I got a John Lasseter shirt.
Did you see the Lasseter collection?
Yeah, his there's some I've seen videos of his personal Hawaiian shirt collection. That's entire closets full, and it's I picked 20.
Yeah,
they're all custom made just for him of his movies. But yeah, the shops Mickey's of Glendale is my favorite store because it's the Imagineering store. It's here in Glendale.
So
what the hell is Mickey's of Glendale?
It's Mickey's of Glendale's is the private Imagineer store, and it's all items that are made for them that only they can buy. You have to be an employee of Disney Imagineering to buy the shirts and the pens and the pins and buttons.
That's those guys.
And then this is the
what do they get? What have they done?
Yeah.
And at D23, that's when they bring their stock to the show and all right, for 1 weekend every 2 years, you get to buy the
whatever we didn't
items.
sell.
Sounds like we should have went on Friday.
So you get just mugs, and I bought 5 T-shirts. So they had they were one of the shirts they were selling for Shanghai Disney was only going to be sold at the con here because then the only way to buy it would be to go to Shanghai and buy it.
So when are you going to Shanghai?
When I get enough money. So if anybody wants to donate to Sebastian,
I was going to ask you.
I have a feeling Sebastian has a GoFundMe already.
How many parks have you been to?
I've been to both of them here. I've been to Epcot, Walt Disney World, and not Discovery is the defunct one, but those are the 4 that I've been to here.
You went to Hollywood Studios.
Yes, and I've been to Hollywood Studios as well because that's where they have.
Because when you Disney World, you're
but I haven't been to Animal Kingdom, but I've been to the Hollywood Studios because they had that Aerosmith roller coaster. Mm-hmm. They have
I was there when it was MGM.
Right, MGM Studios.
Originally
they used to have an Indiana Jones station there.
That was the big thing. Was the Indiana Jones station?
It's still there.
Yes, yeah.
Because it's right next.
Didn't that precede the ride in Disneyland?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been to the 5 parks. Yeah. And Epcot was fun. I went to Epcot when they first opened Mission Space, which was, if anybody remembers or knows of, we had the Mission to the Moon here, which was a faux rocket ride to go to the moon. And this is turned up to 11. You basically sit in a pod, and it's essentially a giant centrifuge that you sit in.
Ugh.
And it replicates.
It separates your blood.
It replicates. Yeah, it basically sitting in it. It was a ride that I remember for months.
Like Interstellar.
It was for months was and another person got sick on Mission Space, so they had to open a separate one that was you could just sit in the pod and watch the video and push the buttons, and that's all you could do. You
watch everybody else get sick around you.
Right, because when I first got
it's like that one guy on the teacups with don't spin it, don't spin it. Oh, why am I bumping? Don't spin it.
Don't spin it.
Would you go to any other parks in the world?
Oh yeah, I would.
If you went to Europe,
to many of the parks.
Yeah, I've been to California Adventure and Disneyland here, and I've also been to Euro Disney twice. That park is fun.
Really?
It's really
fun.
fun.
Because nobody's there.
exactly. Like, there's not is not nuts and like.
Hello.
Because we've talked about.
Does anybody want to come to Euro Disney?
We've talked about going to Paris and everything, and it was like, well, if we're going to Paris, would we really want to take an extra day or two to go to?
It's so different, you know. You go,
Shawna's been there.
and the
She can tell
people,
you
you know,
about
the
the
people who
different
work there are just rude to you all day.
It's beauty. It's the Beast Castle
Yes.
as the centerpiece.
Yes, and also the thing I want to say, like, the thing I really appreciate about Euro Disney is that they have an express train that goes from Paris to the park,
Well, that's
which
cool.
I want. I want that
Yes, it's
here.
because you dirty Americans are so rude. You have to take a train. You don't want to take the cars or nothing.
How did French become
you were
Latino?
telling me-
Yeah, French. This is very close.
You were telling me, Shawna, that their Indiana Jones is a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's like an actual. Like, it has like a 360 loop and everything. The space.
Is it the mine car?
That's what it was.
Yeah, it is a bike car, and
Well, that was the original idea for the Indiana Jones ride here.
No. I was going to tell you. It was when we rode, because on Saturday, instead of going to D23, we went to Disneyland, and we rode the Indiana Jones ride. You know how when you're riding it, and the Indiana Jones is hanging there and the boulders coming?
Yeah.
And he has that line. He
That
says,
poor actor's been doing that for 30 years. So,
He's ripped, though. His arms are just massive.
Indy,
65.
There was,
like,
a,
"Arr."
there was a glitch in it, and Indy didn't say anything. So I'm sitting there, I'm going, he's mumbling. We can hear him.
Harrison Ford, you're supposed to be at the D23 greeting everybody. Why are you here?
Why are these kids running away?
So Saturday, none of us went, and
That was
the announcements came
Yeah,
flooded.
that was because it was movie day, which was the big movie day sold out right away. Once Disney said that it was like, this is our big movie day. It's movies, live action and animation.
But the movies are not what stole the show.
No, Star Wars Land stole the show,
Star Wars Land stole the
which
show.
is something they've been talking about for a while.
Hell, that was one of our first episodes.
Right.
We
Yeah.
were talking about, what was it? It was like some picture of crates or something that somebody thought
Well, and
had the
D23 2 years ago, Shawna and I were there, and that's when we knew Star Wars Land was coming because they had shipping crates from different worlds in Star Wars.
Right,
and they had
it was for the Rebels setup.
right, and they had like the R2 builders R2D2, but they had
a little cast
they
member
had
badge.
his cast member badge on him, and he was driving around greeting people with the R2 spelled out ARTOO with his Disney badge, and it was like, okay, Star Wars Land is coming, and then Mouse Chat, which is like the Gawker of Disney News, said like, they're tearing down Tomorrowland, guys.
Yeah.
Say goodbye. Subs are gone. And then you have like Marty Sklar going, they're not tearing down the subs, guys. Don't listen to them. We're just refurbishing. It's okay.
And people freaked out
Yeah.
this year when
We're
they
tearing
announced
down.
it.
They're tearing down Autopia, guys. Get ready to have Gungan Village. Like okay, guys. And then a couple months ago, Disney purchased some land.
Well, the big that seemed like it leaked really big. I mean,
Well,
the purchase was a couple months ago, but they leaked it.
It wasn't a but
2 weeks ago or something.
It wasn't a leak for there was an official press release.
Right, that's what it was.
And
it was everyone kind of figured it out now.
it's east of Disneyland, right across. They basically bought like a parking lot, essentially.
Yeah. Well, they had some of the parking lot back there, but then they also bought the Castle Inn Hotel.
Right, a couple. Yeah, and then when they said we're doing Star Wars Land, it became immediately clear because they said, oh, we're going to turn that into offices, and right behind Toontown is a lot of cast member offices.
Right.
So
And there's like staging area and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure the ultimate irony is that they will tear down Toontown.
Which they said, they came out and they said, Toontown is not going away. They didn't say
That it won't
Toontown's
be-
not being moved.
Right, and
Or reduced.
Or
right.
reduced.
And it's not even so much that Toontown may be going away, but I get the feel. I mean, there's enough space where the train is, and you have the divide where like the fantasy, not the fantasy fair, but they have
The amphitheater.
they have the amphitheater there, and I'm sure they can work a way around. Just like, okay, there's also like that entrance where Small World is.
Well, there's the right there. That's where the go into Toontown.
Knowing I haven't been there.
Yeah,
I've seen Toontown twice.
Like-
But the
I
amphitheater,
can't
they were
physically
saying
think
that the
about it.
amphitheater where the petting zoo is, all of that,
Petting
and
zoo in Disney.
well, it's not really.
But they have livestock there.
They have
for kids to
livestock,
see
and
in
during
front
the,
of
animatronic.
during the winter, that's where Santa Claus is and the
Yeah.
reindeer, and that's where the
especially since
the
they said they
turkey
were
that the
using-
president pardons goes.
Yeah, they were using 14 acres of land.
Right.
Which is a large chunk of land. Even Tomorrowland isn't 14 acres
No.
big. And they're also not going to sacrifice, something like Space Mountain which is
well. Then all of a sudden they mentioned the hyperspace mountain,
right, which is an
overlay.
Which is what they do every year when they for Halloween they do Ghost Galaxy,
right.
which is the big overlay.
Which they said that they're going to be doing stuff that is going to be Star Wars. Like during the holiday, they're going to do a Star Wars fireworks show.
Right.
It looks like Innovation is going to turn into the landing bay because they already moved. Because when we were there, they have it all blocked off.
Right.
Which I walked up to the board,
and all this,
to the
all
wall,
of
and
the
I'm going,
Tomorrowland
no!
changes sound temporary.
Yes.
They sound like we're just doing stuff to tide people over until we actually get.
What was Innovation?
Innovation's the big building where
they used to do.
They had the Home of the Future.
And they put all the Marvel stuff upstairs, which was like you could meet and
like
greet.
the Iron Man suits. And
Gotcha.
Yeah,
it's right there behind where the
No,
people
I know
mover
where it
thing
is. It used to be the Uncle Sam thing or whatever it was.
It also
big
used to be
animatronic
like where
show.
Journey to the Moon used to be. So, but yeah, that's a lot of it sounds like it's all like holdovers until like okay, when do we get?
And that's what they said. They said they're just going to be able to give you some things that's Star Wars-esque in order to to keep you going until they actually get the park up.
Right.
Which it's not a surprise that Innovation's going to be turning into this for now because the
They
whole
would change
top
it all
floor
the
was
time.
Marvel.
It was Marvel.
And all the
Marvel
stuff
meet and
downstairs that was the Home of the Future is already the Home of the Past now.
Right, and that's
That was Epcot Center's thing too. It's like, whoops.
Yeah.
yeah,
totally
and the meet and greets for Marvel characters they can move anywhere, and they've
Yes.
already done it.
Yes, they turned right there next to where they have the Jedi, the
Jedi Academy.
the
is where
Jedi
they do it
Academy
now.
thing. They have that little shop,
Yeah.
that's like a freestanding shop. They've turned that into basically it's all Marvel, and then outside of it you have Thor and Captain America.
Right.
There's shops in Disney?
I know, right?
There's so many of them. There's like 5.
Yeah,
That's crazy. It's like they're trying to make more money.
and they're always packed and overpriced merchandise. So yeah, that was the
that
big.
that would be everything, which was again like that's the
And it wasn't just 14 acres here; it's also 14
In
acres
Walt
in
Disney
Orlando.
World.
Right. So it makes you wonder. Excuse me. Are they going to start on both of them at the same time? And it's not like they can hide. As soon as the
hide
first
construction
crane,
of it,
the first crane goes up, you know exactly where it's going to be.
right.
I'm glad. Disneyland. I mean, as many times as we've been there, we're still finding new things to do, and like we did the canoes this time, and we've
Like
never done the
shops?
canoes. Like yes,
Oh, the canoes? The canoes.
the canoe was fun. We've
Did you
never
get
done
the
it.
douchebag in the canoe who just splashes everybody behind you?
Yeah, that was my daughter.
Yeah.
Aw.
Whatever you do, don't crack that guy in the skull with the oar. The guy at the front doesn't like you.
You know how when you're rowing a canoe, you have the flat end out, so that way you push the water, right? Well, she's got it turned sideways, so she's just cutting the water. I'm like, honey, you got to turn it the other way.
You're
As soon
making
as
us all do more work.
Yeah, as soon as she does, it starts splashing.
This is the people's canoe. We
Canoe
all
starts
do
veering
equal
off in one
work.
direction.
No, it wasn't.
The
There-
canoes,
take
I
a-
think, are the only line that I've ever been able to like skip ahead of like 80 people because it was all families, and it's just me and Eric, and the guy at the front's like, "Is there a group of two us?" And then we get all the way, like, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, and then we get in on it, and we're in like the last 2 seats. And the guy in the middle is just like, he turns the paddle in order to shoot it like straight up. So he's just hitting this water like, dude, you gotta stop. No, it's funny, and dude, you gotta stop.
I don't know who you are,
So
it's
I
not
pick up
funny.
I pick the oar out of the water, bonk. I said, stop, asshole. And he go, and the guy in the front's just looking at me like, really? This is Disneyland? You just cracked a guy in the skull. And I'm like, dude, I'm not getting wet for the entire day.
No, we had the boat was full, but we had 4 people
it's
paddling.
It's a nice way to do. Yeah,
The bad thing
that's
was
the other problem.
3 people that were paddling.
They're all
We're
on
all
one
on the same
side.
side.
When you crash into the Mark Twain and you sink,
it's a nice way to do the rivers of America.
it's an interesting way because it's the only time you're not on a track.
Right.
Right.
So you can kind of like go at your own pace or whatever you
Yeah,
do.
they sometimes you'll have races between the canoes.
I mean, I'm sure on the day you went, getting splashed with water would have been awesome.
Oh, it was amazing. That
It's
was the other
$1.20.
thing. We walked right onto Splash Mountain.
Right.
Because it had just opened, and we were there for 5 minutes. Walked right on. When we first got there, we went straight to Pirates. Pirates, we walked right on. Then went to Splash Mountain, walked right on.
It's
Did-
almost as people looked at it and went, it's $1.10 outside. Maybe
water
Disneyland's not the where to go.
As soon as we came back from the canoes, the line for Pirates of the Caribbean was an hour and a half. They had it wrapped up and going around, and
Ew.
And we walked.
It's so weird to think it because like, well, I've never done like the big huge coasters, but the last time I went, God knows how long ago, it was 96 or 97. There was nothing that wasn't out. Mm-hmm. Like the longest I ever waited in a line at Disneyland, I think the first time when Star Tours opened, I waited more than an hour.
Yeah.
And because I didn't do Indiana Jones for the first year and a half that it was open, and I think we waited 45 minutes.
We got to
the kids are going back to school this week.
Well, see, but it was really weird because the park got packed later in the day.
Right.
When we first got there,
you went on Saturday, so it's a lot of people. Like I noticed a lot of people going to the park in the morning, coming back for D23.
And there was a lot of that. But by 10, we got there at 10 o'clock. By 12 o'clock, we had ridden Pirates, Splash Mountain, the canoes, and Indiana Jones. And we're on our way, because we just walked around and we went to Fantasyland after that. The longest line we stayed on was for
probably Peter Pan,
Space Mountain.
And
that, because it ended up shutting down for a little bit. So we were there it was supposed to be 45 minutes. We were there probably an hour and a half. And that was the longest line.
Cool, I would never have to wait that long.
Get your fast pass.
But the whole time I'm getting all the announcements that are going on. The other cool thing...
Yeah, and then he sends the text, nothing cooler than being at the park with these announcements. And the first thing in my head's going, no, it would be cooler to be where the announcements are. And the second thing, I'm like, there's nothing cool about being there. Because when I went to California Adventure last year, the day before Shelley's wedding, it was like 110.
Yeah.
And that first 3 hours, I was miserable. Because you're just walking the park drenched. And you're like, I need a ride or something. Because they all wanted to do the flip coaster and they want to do the Ferris wheel of death. And I'm like, I'm not doing any of that crap. Are you kidding me? We went and did Ariel's Grotto or whatever. Like, this is awesome. This is what I like. These little things, and it's cool. I'm
Central
under the sea. I'm getting blasted with air. This is what I want. Right here. This is what I'm doing.
You'd be such a waste at Magic Mountain or something.
Oh, there's no reason for me to go to Magic Mountain.
You were there
I don't think I've been to Magic Mountain since I was a kid.
Magic Mountain or Disneyland?
Disneyland.
Disneyland, yeah.
Did you have any trouble?
No.
And that's Ethan's words of the week.
Congratulations, Ethan.
Yeah, we get lucky. We go Friday. We go on Fridays or Mondays.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, kids are back to school.
It's always on a weekday unless it's Dapper Day.
Yeah.
Are you going? Are you going in November?
I'll be going again.
Are you going November 8th for the Doctor Who day?
Maybe. I don't know. It's another unofficial day.
Yeah,
but it's not.
Are they doing Dapper Day in the middle of the summer when it's a puck day?
They do it. They do it. It's twice a year. It's once in the spring and then the other's in the fall.
Maybe was it the spring one where it was just was it the fall one where it was unseasonably warm?
Yeah, it was 116.
Yeah. No,
I was in
this
a
is like the great
suit.
I'm looking. And Sebastian's picture comes up of him and Shawna, and Sebastian is dressed to the nines. He looks fantastic. Shawna's in this gorgeous dress, and all I can think of is, you guys are fucking melting.
It's 116 degrees.
116 degrees,
and I'm in a three-piece suit.
And I'm wearing I have makeup caked on my face and everything, and I'm like, this is not ideal.
What's worse is that the reason why I like Dapper Day is because so many people participate.
Right.
Something like Doctor Who Day. I remember the one they showed off last year was 1 or 200 people, and it's cool, but they're all in the same 6 or 7 Doctor Who costumes versus Dapper Day where it's we saw people in clothes from the 20s.
Doctor Who Day would be so terrible on a hot day because all the people doing Matt Smith would have their face just melt. It's all full of plastic.
They would reveal their animatronic faces.
Now, the one thing I did notice though is every 10th person, it seemed like almost every 10th person was in a Star Wars t-shirt. There was more Star Wars t-shirts than there were Mickey or Minnie.
Walk down the street.
I know. But that's what I was telling Beth. I was like,
I'm wearing a Star Wars t-shirt right now.
Now you can't go anywhere without seeing a Star Wars t-shirt.
Oh, no. I wore a Star Wars t-shirt on Saturday to meet someone for lunch. She's wearing a Star Wars t-shirt as well.
Yeah, because it's right now. It's in everybody's consciousness. So everybody's wearing Star Wars t-shirts.
It's
not
available
Ethan.
everywhere.
It is available everywhere.
Ethan doesn't even.
I don't
own a
think
Star Wars t-shirt.
Ethan doesn't even own a Star Wars.
I don't think
t-shirt.
Ethan knows what Star Wars is.
So
this is the most boring podcast Ethan in history.
So Disney made some major announcements as far as films.
Yes.
Star Wars.
Other than Star Wars, they also gave the official name for Rogue Squadron, which is now Rogue Squadron. All of the anthology films are going to be whatever it is, and then it's going to be Rogue One is Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
See, that's the stupidest thing. Saying that's the big reveal. We already knew what the title was.
Well, they also revealed the cast.
Yes, they revealed
and
the cast,
that it was
which
that
I'm surprised
filming
you're
had
still,
started.
I'm surprised you're still breathing.
Well, they'd already announced Alan Tudyk is going to be in it a while
I had
back.
even no idea, so I'm surprised you're still breathing at any point where they actually said that.
I told you he fits perfect. He was already a pilot in Firefly.
God, I hope
So many
really quick.
movie announcements though. So we got
Yes.
so Star Wars. I mean, Rogue One, Star Wars.
Save the animation for last because that's
right,
the big
'cause
one.
that's the big one. But they also Alice Through the Looking Glass are doing a sequel to Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, which is May 27th.
Yeah, which is coming out really fast.
Uh-huh.
I'm shocked it took them this long, considering how much money.
They've been talking about it, but Johnny Depp's schedule did not allow him to get to it.
I can't imagine. It's just weird because that movie.
It was
movie
it
made
feels like so long ago.
70
I
million.
can't. Yeah, I can't even like.
Wait, when did it come out? Like,
Oh God, 2013 maybe.
I think it's even earlier
I think it was
than
12.
Sooner.
2012?
Yeah.
I think it's earlier than that.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay, so Jungle Book was another
Jungle
big
Book
one.
is another live action. They announced
Boy,
that.
I tell you, you want a good poster.
Oh my
That's
God,
a
that
They
beautiful
released.
poster.
Okay, we'll go back to the Star Wars thing.
Okay,
because
guys,
with the Star
we
Wars
didn't
thing,
even do the
they
Force
released.
Unleashed.
They released the poster for the Force
first
Unleashed.
Drew Struzan.
No,
poster.
Force Awakens because Force
Awakens.
Unleashed.
God, I keep doing that. It drives me crazy. That's not what I wanted to open.
That was
and
the
big reveal from it for me is one, only Han's on the
poster.
of the original trilogy.
in terms
cast.
of the original trilogy cast, and then Finn is holding the lightsaber.
Yep.
Yes, not just a lightsaber, Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from 4 and 5.
Now I've heard some people say this is just the poster for D23 and it's not the official release poster.
So they were claiming it was the official.
That's what everyone said was
Disney,
the official
Disney
release
did
poster.
say it is the first official poster for the film.
It's the first official poster, but it may not be the release poster that you'll see in.
Which bringing up
Because
the
the first
poster,
official poster for Episode 1 was the Shadow poster.
Right.
Yes.
Was
well, the first
Jake
official
Lloyd's-
poster was just the Star Wars, the Force Awakens.
Right, but in terms of like what started
Title.
going up in theaters,
Yes.
the first thing was the Shadow poster.
Yeah,
was
right.
the Anakin with
With the
Darth
Darth
Vader
Vader
shadow.
shadow.
And that was going up when the
Alice in Wonderland was 2010. That's what I thought. I was like, that's
Rings
a
was
So
long
it's
Reed?
5 years.
A long time.
Yeah.
2010. I was like, I knew it was a while ago because the people that I remember talking to around this time, I haven't talked to in a
Now,
long time.
here's the thing. Star Wars started this at Celebration with their panels. They started airing the panels, on the internet, and the people there get a special gift. I'm liking this thing that they're doing, the way they're doing it, because almost all of the D23 panels, with the exclusion of the footage that they showed, are up online, officially up online to see.
Right.
And if you attended the panel, you got some kind of gift. Like the interaction panel, you got a Disney's Infinity Mickey
Right.
Mouse character. You had the Star Wars. You got the poster, the Jungle Book. For the other one, you got at the movie, the live action presentation. You got the Jungle Book poster.
Which looks gorgeous. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yep.
that's actually what brought it up. I was disappointed in the Star Wars poster. I love Drew Struzan's work. He's probably my favorite.
And everyone was so
And he's
glad when
amazing.
they saw that.
They loved that poster, and I don't for something for me into it. But brings me to my point. That Jungle Book poster is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That poster was like the first Winter Soldier poster. That first teaser of Cap in the back of the Quinjet over Washington.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw that, going, that's awesome.
Well, it's
I
also
love
like the
that poster.
Jurassic. It reminds me of the Jurassic Park or the Jurassic World Comic-Con poster from last year
Right.
with the raptor on
the Mondo poster.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the non-Mondo poster. Yes.
Right. So yeah, I mean,
No, I just the color in that and the composition in that.
But-
and I love Jungle Book is one of my favorite Disney animated films.
going to all
And
these
so
cons,
it was
do
just
you
an awesome.
do you like the idea of airing them and if you attend to keep people still attending them to give them some kind of special
Well, yeah,
treat?
that's how you're going to keep people attending if you're going to decide
give
to
away
show
cool
what
free
they-
stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's all. Look, he's talking about Friday of the gold members in there. You know what the gold members did? They went and bought like the exclusive pins or whatever. This is what happened for Star Wars.
Oh,
all those
yeah.
pins were gone the first day because that's all people want.
The
I'll tell
trading-
you right now,
Pin
every
trading
single
is
one of those posters is on eBay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They were up there
Yeah.
the day
Yeah.
of.
Like my mom actually on Saturday she wanted to grab one of the posters from I forgot which booth they were giving him at. She like they cut off the line. She ended up not getting it, and she's like, maybe I'll find one on eBay, $500 for some of them.
Yeah, especially the day of.
For a poster that I'm pretty sure they'll probably do even if it doesn't end up in like the theaters as the poster, it'll end up being a poster.
Oh, I
that'll
think
be a
that
24
I think
by
that one will be
36.
that one will
You'll
be
be
a
able to
poster.
get it at Hot
Oh, yeah.
Topic.
At a one-
Yeah.
in no-
that deserves a one sheet.
Well,
so.
Alice Through the Looking Glass, they did a double-sided poster. One side is Alice
And the other
walking.
side is
the other side is the Hatter. and you got that if you did the interactive experience there.
Right.
So we ended up picking up 2 of them so we can put them up side by side.
They announced that Beauty and the Beast is actually a musical movie.
Yes.
Officially a musical. It's not like Cinderella, which was kind of like a little
Right.
bit, but not really. No, this is...
With Emma Watson as
Belle, and they're going to be using the original Alan Menken
what?
songs.
Yeah.
Emma Watson's playing Belle in Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, now I have to see this film.
Yes, you did.
I
she'll
have
be
become
singing.
a little more intrigued.
I don't
Johnny
care.
Johnny Depp walks out in full Captain Jack Sparrow costume to announce Pirates 5.
Yep.
And
Didn't they announce that a long time
they
ago?
announced it, but the filming is beginning. The filming just wrapped.
Right.
Yeah,
Because-
they've been filming for
Because
a
he
while.
almost got
I was gonna say,
arrested.
we knew that was...
Yeah, he almost got it, but it was a surprise that he came out dressed in it. As Captain.
I'm
The
getting the feeling
announcement.
he keeps that costume in his car. In a
Oh well,
box.
he has.
I'm
It's
sure
just like
all right, well, I'm gonna go visit some sick kids today.
it's just like Chris Evans and
Time he was at
Chris
Comic-Con,
Pratt.
and everyone told him he didn't look like
Jack Sparrow.
That was awesome. That costume's not accurate. It's like, it came from the effing set, bro. Come on.
You doing okay, Johnny Depp?
Hey, you're not really... It's not enough Keith Richards there. It's just, you need a little
Know
bit
what?
more.
What surprised me the most is that Johnny Depp actually goes out to Disneyland dressed as
Oh, yeah.
Jack Sparrow every once in a while,
he
just
goes
for the
out-
hell of it.
yeah, he's at
His dad
Disneyland
has
quite a
done
bit.
The cons before he's... I mean,
Yeah,
he does
is it sick
the
children?
Visit Sick Children. Yeah, that one's really cool. But
No, I knew about
Like
the
the-
hospitals and stuff. It was just like I didn't.
Well,
know
you've,
that
I mean,
he
you've
walked
heard
around
the story when he
Disneyland.
did the year he did Comic-Con.
Yeah.
He
brought the costume.
he brought the costume. He had people from the set, makeup and everything. They did him completely done. He is walking the floor as Jack Sparrow. It is Johnny Depp, and more than like a dozen people told him that he looked okay. And the same thing happened to Hugh Jackman. That was one of those
Yeah,
things.
he's
Like,
too tall.
Yeah.
I swear I saw Hugh Jackman one year because I remember standing there.
That was 2 years ago.
It was like 2 or 3 years ago. I think I remember standing there with Mikey looking over at this dude going, man, that guy looks like Hugh Jackman. That guy is ripped. Look at him. He looks like Hugh Jackman. That guy is right
Brian
on.
Cranston walked the floor.
Yeah.
In the Bryan Cranston mask.
Yeah.
Asshole. But and it was funny. We saw him in Artist Alley. Mikey and I saw
Yeah.
him. And I looked at Mikey and said, that's probably really Bryan Cranston. He's like, no way. I said, I bet you it is. He's like, yeah, maybe it is because they keep doing that.
And then
I
at
mean,
the
you got
panel-
Daniel Radcliffe walked around in a Spider-Man costume.
uh-huh.
You know, it's getting dangerous because I'm waiting to the point where someone just like walks up to someone with a mask, just pulls it off. Like, is it? No, it's not you.
Speaking of costumes,
So we need to have you're saying we need a J. Jonah Jameson to walk around and unmask all these heroes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Find out who they are.
That's what Civil War is.
You're a
It's-
menace. You know?
Civil War is just them walking through Comic-Con, pulling masks off of people to find out who's an actor and who's not.
even at D23, I couldn't get away from a Deadpool. There were 2.
I'm
Seems
not
odd.
surprised.
I know. But so here we go. Johnny Depp. The big thing that he did announce for
He
Pirates
hugged-
5.
You mean he hugged Harrison Ford?
Well, that was
big news. That
as
was the-
Johnny
that
Depp.
was
I mean,
the big
as Jack Sparrow. But he did make the announcement that Will Turner will be in
Yeah, it's
Pirates 5. So Orlando Bloom is
coming
coming back.
It's a job.
Well, he's done.
Lord
with
of the Rings
Hobbit.
is done, dude. Hobbit is done. There's nothing left. Unless Peter Jackson just decides to go, let's do the Silmarillion. Let's do the Silmarillion. And you know what? Legolas is in it, man.
So the animated.
So lots of stuff we knew.
Yes. Ellen apparently has been talking on her show quite a bit over the years, wanting to do a Finding Nemo sequel.
Yeah, Finding Dory, which they let her announce it on her own show a couple months ago.
I was going to
Yes.
say, yeah, that one's been out for a
So
while.
the way they introduced it at D23 was they showed all of the clips of her wanting to do it, talking about it on the show, leading up to this. Then she came. They had the announcement that she did a couple weeks ago. Then she came out on stage to officially bring out the cast and everything.
Right.
Which
They talk
Finding
about-
Dory.
Yeah, Finding Dory. She just kept swimming is the tagline,
Yes.
and I thought that was kind of funny. Zootopia. They did a big
Yes.
thing for Zootopia.
They
That's
actually
the
had,
U2 tour, right?
yes.
Oh, I know that's Zooropa. Sorry.
And which they down on the floor they had a little
Yeah, they had a nice booth.
little interactive thing that you could play with.
Disney Animation and Pixar. They've got Jack and the Beanstalk is basically getting a
Yes.
live action now. His first big official thing.
Yes.
Didn't they just do that?
No, that was
they did.
That was Bryan Singer's Jack and the Beanstalk.
That's what I was going to say. There was just
That was
a
Jack
and
the
Jack the Giant Slayer.
Yeah.
But this was
Yeah.
actually a Disney animated movie. Pixar had the big one.
Well, Toy Story 4.
Toy Story 4, but they announced
That's the one that shocked me. I was like, I really thought they just
Well, they announced that.
But everybody kept hearing it. They kept hearing rumors and stuff.
and I got to see a special screening of Inside Out, and the beginning was a little bit of a making of and talking to the cast members, and then it was talking to John Lasseter because he's actually directing Toy Story 4. They announced Cars 3, which was my sort of like my eyebrow raise, like, okay, it's their biggest moneymaker other than Frozen.
That's one of those films that
Frozen wasn't. Frozen wasn't
anybody.
Pixar,
right? But it's Disney though,
right?
But
you don't know anybody who liked Cars, and yet Cars is still big.
Yeah, but see, here's the funny thing:
because you think
it's children.
Well, that's the thing.
The toys.
Didn't Cars 2 not do so well?
No, Cars. Everybody seemed to hate Cars 2. Cars 2 is one of the few Pixar films I haven't seen. The thing with Cars is, yes, Cars still has a presence in the toy aisle. It still has a presence in merchandising.
It always had one because Matchbox is still so big.
That's the thing is, it still has a presence in merchandising. It still has a presence. Like, it's amazing to see. And you went, the day of Cars Land, the second day of Cars Land or whatever? That place was packed.
Oh, it was packed. Yeah. Speaking of which, did you see the miniature model of Radiator Springs?
Oh, yeah.
That was amazing. I gotta show you the pictures. I haven't showed you
one of the big
pictures.
things with Cars is that spot, that Radiator Springs world, is fascinating.
Oh yeah.
Well, I
think is probably part of the problem that might be with Cars 2. Not having seen it, if it doesn't take place in Radiator Springs for the whole time, that might.
It doesn't take place. Yeah. None of it takes place.
I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, Toy Story was like the biggest merchandising for Disney in decades. I mean, the Princess
was
line
also
always does consistent. The little girls love the Princess line, and they market the hell out of it. Toy Story was the first big
well, that was the
oh
thing.
My goodness, we have
Toy Story 4 is funny.
You have that resurgence with Little Mermaid, Atlanta. Aladdin, and Lion King, and so forth. And then as that started to kind of even keel, and then you have Pixar show up with Toy Story. Toy Story was huge.
But then Cars dethroned Toy Story as their biggest merchandiser.
That's amazing.
And because Mattel, with Matchbox, and then all the other.
And then it wasn't until Frozen came along that something was its equal.
Yeah.
So Frozen,
and that's not even Pixar. That's Disney Pictures.
That's Disney's own movie. But Frozen and Cars are their two cash cows for toys, and that's why they got Cars Land, and that's why they got Cars 3. Which was a big surprise.
Downtown Disney. Remember they turned 365 into Elsa and Anna's shop.
Yep.
But Toy Story 4, it's funny because you or one of us called that as soon as they bought Star Wars. They need to do a Toy Story 4 where there's Marvel and Star Wars figures in it. And I can almost guarantee you there's going to be some kind of... The only reason I would think that they couldn't is because they have such a good deal with Mattel. And Mattel... Yeah, they do their official toy licenses.
The toys that are in it are not...
Isn't Mr. Potato Head is Hasbro, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and he played a big part of that.
Right, and that's that's also they get sort of the lucky with all.
So this is all great, but
okay. So the big announcement,
and this is for everything that's there, like Star Wars Land. I'm like, okay,
it's expected.
I've been to Disneyland once in the last 2 decades. It'll probably
wait, don't say it. But don't say it. I want Ethan to be able to say it.
I'm just like, this was the one that got me.
I want Mr. Excitement to say this one.
He probably doesn't even know what we're talking about.
Do you know what we're talking about? What film we're talking about?
You mean the knockoff Fantastic Four?
The
better Fantastic Four?
Yes. Incredible. Yeah. Incredible.
Yes, they announced
Incredibles 2.
You saw that poster. That's one of the things, like, when you saw Cars 2 and you go, you made a sequel to Cars. You didn't make a sequel to fucking Incredibles.
Yeah. Well, and for Incredibles, they've been sort of saying we're not doing an Incredibles 2 until Brad Bird can come back.
Right.
And Brad Bird has said
that was the big one.
Like, unless I get a good story, I don't really want to do anything. And then a couple months ago, it was sort of like, I think this is happening,
and then they saw the Fantastic Four movie, like,
we got to do this.
We can do better than that.
Well, The Incredibles is like one of my favorite Pixar movies.
Incredibles is my favorite Pixar movie.
Yeah.
That's just
as a comic book junkie, Incredibles is an amazing film. Mm-hmm. That's Incredibles is my, because it's also humor in it. It's amazing, but it's really just look, I love a lot of Pixar films. Toy Story 2 and 3. Finding Nemo is one of my favorites. WALL-E. Even go back to A Bug's Life. Bug's Life is the most underrated film.
I want to see a Marvel.
Bug's Life is great because it's Seven Samurai with with
Yeah.
some of the greatest comedians
Yeah,
in an ensemble.
I want to see a Marvel Incredibles mashup though.
No.
I know.
You're
there'll
the
be-
only one.
The
there'll be
Incredibles,
some-
the Incredibles can't, they'll just win. The Incredibles will win. They just got.
And then, but they also
They'll just beat them with better storytelling.
not to gloss over, obviously not to gloss over Incredibles 2 because that's going to be such an amazing thing, and there's nothing that's been said about it, which is good.
Right.
And I hope that they
It's just the poster with the eye turned into.
That was the thing.
that was the
presentation.
presentation. That's all they showed.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's the thing that's really great. I mean, when you have something like that where you're able to use an image that everybody who's a fan knows,
But when you first look
and
at
be
it,
able to put it up there and realize what's there.
yeah.
It's kind of when you acquire something or whatever. All if Marvel would have been able to announce the acquisition of the Star Wars comics on their own instead of in a press release, if they had done it in there and just show it like, oh, there's one more thing, and just put up the Star Wars logo and then walk off the stage, that would have been great. And that's kind of what this was.
Or just even in the
it wasn't
comics,
even
just
announced.
like-
It was just as I'm scrolling through my feed, I see that poster.
Yeah.
On like an official Disney feed of that poster and lost my mind. Going,
Right.
just that's what I want. I've wanted this for so long, and it's great that they waited this long. And it'll be good. God, I hope Frozen's in it. Where's my super suit?
But
It's
just
amazing.
when you first look at the logo, it's like, okay, wait, are they just going to do, is it going to be like an anniversary edition or something? And then you look closer and you go, oh, that's two eyes. That's not one.
No, it was fantastic.
That was like,
That was another big one that
And
everybody had their that rightfully so sort of freaking out. Everyone's like, yeah, you're freaking out about Star Wars information, but that's coming out in December. This is the real surprise.
but do you
right
think,
here.
because
Well, that's
the
the thing is,
Incredibles
the
came
other
out
stuff that
before the
we've talked
park
about.
stuff, do you think that it got its due for a short time, but now afterwards, most people aren't even talking about
This
it.
is no information.
Yeah, it was just a
Outside
poster.
of knowing that Brad Bird is coming back to do it, you know nothing about
And
this
I'm
film.
sure they'll be able to get Craig T. Nelson to come back.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no,
he's
because
doing coach again.
Come on.
Yeah.
He doesn't have time. They're going to have to replace him. I'm pretty sure Jason Lee can come back with the bad guy again, too. I think it was because there's no information. I mean,
Well, he's only doing Mallrats,
and it's
too.
also, there's nothing really to speculate on, whereas as soon as that park information came out, all five of us on our thread are like, no, they're going to knock this down. Oh, but what if they do this? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, what if they do? Well, maybe they'll move it over here. Well, what are they going to use? And that painting or whatever looks great. And I'm like, yeah, it'd be awesome if they could really build a shuttle Tidarium that could take you to the park. That'd be awesome. That's not going to happen. Don't give me this vision crap. Like, actually show me what it's going to look like.
Well,
they got to build a full size
We'll see
Falcon.
more because
How do you not build a full size?
Well, they said one of the attractions is going to be a Falcon ride.
Yes, no.
You're in the
not,
cockpit.
Not a Falcon ride. I'm talking building a full size Falcon.
Well, the big thing that because either
I'm sure
Kevin and
if
Bean or
Las Vegas can do. Well, they did the Star Trek experience and they built a full size bridge
Mm-hmm.
with deck hallways. I'm sure there's a way that
That was
you could.
amazing, by the way.
Oh my god! I missed
well,
that
they're doing
so
the cantina.
I've never been to the Star Wars Trek experience. I feel so
Oh,
sad.
man. And I'm just so bummed that. Well, you'll be able to see part of it because that guy who's doing the Los Angeles Sci-Fi Museum
Yes,
is
Yeah, he has those pieces, and
He has
the
those pieces.
he's got the full. He's got
The
the
funny
full
thing
bridge.
is, Patrick Stewart was on Kevin and Bean this morning, and he said something about the bridge because he was like, I think he thinks sci-fi fans, some of the more out there sci-fi fans, think he was really in space or whatever. He's like, no, the bridge. We never left Studio 8, and the bridge is in the basement at Paramount. And I wanted to call like, no, it's not. It's in somebody's fucking house
Yeah.
because they tried to throw it away.
Yeah, the story is CBS threw it out. The Enterprise D set.
Paramount.
And you know what's really cool?
And the guy who started the museum, years ago, I guess he was doing like a tour. Where he was walking by and he
It was-
watched-
no, it was one of his friends.
One of his friends worked there and goes, hey, guess what they're throwing away? Because
Yes.
really, if you want to know all about it, go to the Nerdables YouTube page because we interviewed him back when he first had the chair up. And
Well, that was the first
Yeah.
time that I saw when I went to that
Yeah.
panel.
And then he's like, hey, we threw the thing out, and he got a pallet and he started collecting pieces.
Because it was sitting outside.
it was sitting,
And
it had been
was
sitting
getting
outside for
damaged.
months, and in the
Yep.
rain and everything
There was
else.
stuff he couldn't save, but there's stuff that he's there. And then when they found out that the Star Trek experience was closing,
he got
he
parts from
negotiated,
that.
Yeah.
to get some of the parts from that. So,
And then somebody
God, I
was-
hope that museum happens. His
He's
plans for
working
it
so
were
hard.
so
They-
ambitious.
there was a
Somebody in Las Vegas, when they tore the museum, the experience down, they saved that amazing timeline, like acrylic time. They donated it to him.
That's awesome.
So he's going to have the Star Trek timeline from Enterprise through
Because
Nemesis.
that the second time that I saw it, when he was talking about the museum, the first time was just saving the bridge and building a traveling exhibit with the bridge.
Right.
The second time when he was talking about the museum as a permanent home and the Hall of Robots, that'd be so
But
awesome.
even because he wants to do a hall of ships and everything.
Sci-fi cars. And,
Anyway.
So D23 had so much stuff. I mean,
Right.
Saturday, you just every time you look down at your phone, it was just another, And I was getting all the messages that were coming in, so I was getting all these announcements popping up, as a notification. I was just like, "Holy crap!"
My phone is on fire, literally on fire in the middle of Disneyland because it's 100.
And then I was putting them onto our thread, back and forth, which caused a whole nother riff, which was funny. But Saturday had all the other big thing was they
The
showed.
Rock was there.
Yes.
He was the big guest because of Moana, which looks really good.
Oh yeah.
That's the one where he's fighting the earthquake, right?
Yes. Yeah, he's fighting in Grand Theft Auto in San Andreas,
okay.
saving San Andreas from the earthquake.
Well, is that the one where they go to the island in 3D? One? Is that the other
Yes.
one?
I think so, and then he fights a shark or something.
It's the one where he's the Tooth Fairy, right?
Yes.
Plays the Tooth Fairy?
Yeah,
It's the one where he's
he
the
becomes
wrestler.
Larry the Cable
No,
Guy.
he's what's the one where it's
The
He's a
football
football
star.
player. Yeah,
That's
that
actually a Disney film.
that finds the daughter. He finds his daughter, and then everything's real cute for 2 hours.
But Captain America 3.
Yeah, they got a trailer.
Well, it wasn't really a trailer. They showed actual footage.
Right.
They showed the footage
They-
that's at the
Disney
end of
called it a
Ant-Man,
trailer.
and they expanded it. You got your first look at.
Doctor Strange.
Well, no, I was going to say, but Black Panther.
Right.
You got your first look at him. There was a reveal in this, and I'm not going to say it because it is a major, major spoiler, and I wish I wouldn't have known. But
I didn't see or hear any of it.
there was a major spoiler to this that
So I think after a while,
it's something that fans will go nuts for as soon as they see it in the film. That we all talked about when they first announced that they were going to do this character. And I'm not even going to say it because if I say anything too much, you'll get it. When they first announced this character, they said there's no way it could happen. There's no way you could do this, that, and the other with it. But when I saw that they're doing it and how they're doing it, it totally makes sense.
It's not the Martin Freeman character.
No, it's not the Martin Freeman
No,
character.
isn't he?
That's the only
he's
thing
playing
I
the guy
care
from
about.
the Christopher Black Panther run.
yes.
Well, is that confirmed? Because that was when they first announced him. I said, I bet you he's playing the attaché in Black Panther, and everyone's looking like, what the hell are you talking about? I said the whole Christopher Priest's entire run of Black Panther, which has just been released in
a new trade.
in a new trade, by the
All
way,
17
for
issues,
the
I
first
think?
time.
Yeah.
Well, it's the first half of it.
The first half, yeah.
It's
It's
the first
the
half.
first
They're gonna
17
replace the whole
issues.
thing. Anyway, but the whole story goes through. It's not a Black Panther. Well, it's a Black Panther story, but it's a U.S. attaché to the Wakandan embassy. So when they first said Martin Freeman, I'm like, dude, that's who he's playing, and it was just like, huh? And I'm like, if that's now true, I totally called that as soon as I probably wasn't the only one, but
Right. But
That's why. Well, that's why I thought it was too. Mostly
Yeah.
because it's like, well, Martin Freeman's not going to be playing a superhero, but he's Black Panther. It's like, oh, I think I know.
they're using that story.
And they also showed some of the footage between the rift between Tony and Steve and how it happens and what causes it.
Well,
Is it
and
the
they-
memes?
It's all
definitely the
all
memes.
memes.
I like the prequels.
But
Civil War.
I do like that they actually are taking a page out of the Civil War book and making it like, well, who's responsible, Cap?
Yes.
And I like that the reference that they sort of gave away was like, this city was flying, in the sky. There's a lot of people hurt. We tried to save everybody, but
Well, apparently there is something that happens at the beginning of it that's very similar to.
I'm sure it's going to be like the New Warriors, something similar to that.
Well, they said that something happens at the beginning of it with Crossbones, and somebody else.
He's gonna be Jax for Mortal Kombat.
No, but there's something in it that happens that's very much similar to the beginning of the Civil War book.
Yeah, with the New
Speedball.
Warriors. Yeah, and the reality show.
Uh-huh.
Well, I don't know if they'll go that far, but I like the idea. It's like, look, we're responsible, and somebody has to pay.
But there's a really interesting thing where
And
apparently
I would like to see that in secret that they've glossed over in the movies. Like, just Iron Man's like, look, I'm broke. I'm broke, Steve. Who do you think is paying for all that damage? I am. You owe me.
Well, he did create Ultron, so it is kind of his fault.
Well, there's a thing where Tony
Even pay
tells
for,
him
like,
that
the Ironmonger, like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, family in the minivan. I'll buy
Well, that's
you a new minivan.
the difference between 70s and 80s comics and 90s and 2000s comics is when they started going, well, we've exhausted all these stories where we've made them like perfectly good guys. Every building that falls is empty. Oh, I got an idea. The building that falls is occupied. And somebody's suing the Avengers.
But no, one of the things it said was that Tony was saying that telling Steve we have to be more responsible. Look, everybody saw what happened. With
he pulled a
Kosovo or whatever it was.
He pulled a
Kosovo.
That was a real event.
Sokovia. Kosovo, yes.
But then he's telling
but
Steve.
He gave him the same.
Tony
speech.
believes in ethnic cleansing.
It's like,
yes.
He gave him the same speech that Steve gave to Nick Fury in Winter Soldier. Was like, people are afraid of us,
right?
And I enjoy that kind of tongue-in-cheek irony.
But the thing is, I just get when you saw the dialogue for it, it was like you expect Steve to go, "You freaking built, Ultron. What the hell, man? Be more responsible." But it's like he says something in there about how even though Steve's an American icon, some people still see him as a vigilante and things like that. So there is that whole. There's kind of the actual Civil War comic book that they're going with it.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that. They showed the official title font for Doctor Strange, and Benedict Cumberbatch came on and did a nice little intro.
Shooting it.
So anyway, real quick,
I'm in everything.
anyway, what do you think of Ronda Rousey maybe
Nope.
petitioning?
We'll talk about that next week. So you get to Sunday, you didn't get to your video game news.
I know nothing about her character, but I've seen her try and act.
Yeah.
She cannot.
No, it's
She can be the nicest.
She
human
looks
being.
great in the mock-up. that
Yeah.
they-
Sure,
Guess
because
what?
somebody
anyone
Photoshop,
that
yeah.
they find will do it.
Oh, yeah.
Emily Blunt can play that role.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Back
Oh,
to
yeah.
Franco.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
She's great.
And so, but yeah, it's one of those things like, look, I don't know anything about Ron, but it's also one of those things like, seeing her, like, it's like, I want to do this, like, I've seen you act.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
You
as
can-
important to have it physically look
Yeah,
correct
you can-
as
Right.
it does to someone.
Oh, yeah,
who
yeah,
owns
yeah.
it. Again, people love Michael Keaton as Batman. If you look at the history of Batman, Michael Keaton looks nothing like a Batman.
Right.
I personally don't think Michael Keaton is Batman, but everybody else is like, oh
No,
yeah, totally.
Donald Trump is Batman.
No, Donald Trump.
But yeah, it's like,
so-
if she could act, I would be like, yeah, okay, but it's like, I've seen, like, she can't really act.
So Sunday was all about video games and the Mouseketeers.
Yes.
The big thing, the interactive, most of it was about Disney Infinities, which is getting ready to come out.
Yep.
They showed that there's going to be some.
Force Awakens set.
Well, Zootopia, or yeah, this is Zootopia, isn't it?
Yeah, they're doing a Zootopia.
Zootopia. They showed those characters. Then they brought.
There's a Luke Skywalker figure coming.
Yes.
For Infinity.
They brought the. They had the whole
The
Infinity.
Star Wars thing hasn't started yet, has it?
It comes out
It comes out.
September 4th.
Yeah.
Which
they've already. I think just on Twitter, following some of that stuff, I think they've started sending out some press kits for it. So.
yeah, I actually they have they had a little interactive thing which you can do, and if you got up there and you did it, you can go over and pick one of 7 different characters, the actual game pieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
let us
had
do
4
that at,
Star Wars.
Comic-Con.
Yeah. And so, Arabella, Beth, and I did it, and we all got, so we ended up getting Darth Vader, Yoda, and then Arabella got one of the Inside Out characters.
Nice.
But they announced the Episode 7 playset will be coming out in December that goes along with it.
Movie.
And they showed the Rey and the Finn characters from it.
Yep.
And they had them on stage. The other really, really big announcement that they did at the interactive show was they announced that Big Hero 6 will be part of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yes.
So
Which is interesting.
Which is very interesting.
And they're going to tie it in, too. So it looks like the Baymax in the game is the Baymax who was lost
yes.
in the alternate in the space between realities.
Yes. So that's pretty cool. They had a playable demo of Battlefront on the floor with this great set.
Did you guys do the Playmation and did you become an Avenger by playing?
No, I didn't. There was a long line for that.
Oh,
They had the pod ones, the battle pod things.
But yeah, we did the Playmation thing, and it's
Damn, I
really
want to
fun.
play that
It
again.
was
That was
like,
amazing.
It was like the shortest we'd ever seen that line. We're just like, let's just go do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's cool. They give you like the Iron Man gauntlet with the repulsors, and it actually works when you pull your hand back, and there's 1 or 2 buttons on it.
And then when Iron Skull dies, like he pops out of his little base.
Yeah, he pops out of the base
Yeah.
and he attacks you back, and there's a tag team mode, so multiple people can have the gauntlets.
Right, and you can do like laser tag with it.
And then they're going to be doing. They said they'd be doing more stuff to go with it. More superheroes would be getting kit, and then you got your ID badge for the Avengers.
That's cool. So if you went to the interactive panel, they gave you exclusive Mickey Infinity character, playable character. That's the actual Mickey Mouse. Because I think the last time they did it, where it was the Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey,
Right.
and this one was just the Mickey in his normal everyday.
All he can do is drive
shorts.
a boat. He just sits there in the game.
And they also, I think they either gave you a beta version of Kingdom Hearts 3 or DLC content.
I think it's one of the. I think it was a mobile game.
It could be.
I think it was a mobile, like a Kingdom Hearts mobile game. And
Yeah.
then they also announced. I'm sure it's one of those like pay to win, but like the build your own theme park, like they did the Jurassic Park builder.
Right.
They're doing a Disneyland park builder.
Well, Lucasfilm or LucasArts had the original one. The original park builder.
Right.
So they just basically incorporated. Now you can do it as Disney, which is pretty cool. And it probably will be one of those pay-to-plays.
Yeah.
And then they ended the show with the reunion of the original, the surviving members of the original Mickey Mouse Club.
I was gonna say, look, half of them dead.
Well-
So it was Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera,
No.
and all the others that nobody knows who they are.
Original.
They're all dead.
Yeah.
Britney Spears is just in it, son.
Hey, she just announced she's coming back from Vegas, so she's going to be on Jane the Virgin.
Y'all, I'm gonna be on Jane the Virgin, y'all, because I'm a virgin.
But yes, they closed
Britney,
out
up your
the
kid.
show with the ending song of the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, and that for me, that's like, oh man, I wish I was there. For
I
that.
wish-
That's really cool to do a reunion. The other thing that I missed, because I missed it last time too, the voice of the Disneyland parks
Mm-hmm.
is the announcer where you could get your mobile phone
Yes.
message recording done by him.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see him doing that last.
Yeah, last year we got in the line, but then they're like, it's closed, we got to stop it. So we're just like, the guy he's doing now is the last guy. I'm like, okay, but it was still really cool because he's like, thank you for calling,
But
John Smith's phone.
So did you guys pick up any exclusives?
So the I picked up the exclusive shirt, the John Lasseter shirt that Uniqlo, which is
Right.
a Japanese clothing company, and it's it's his original sketch for the Luxo short.
Okay.
Luxo and the bouncing ball. I also grabbed myself an R4 D23. I have one here on the desk.
Yes, picked up a couple of those.
Which is really cool. It's not a super limited one, but it wasn't a show exclusive.
Yeah.
All of the Imagineering shirts are exclusive for normal people in that you can only get them there.
Right.
the normals are allowed.
Us plebes. And I also picked up, they did, for the show, they did a replica of the Day at Disneyland vinyl, which was originally released in 1957, I think. And it has, it's done in the original size. It has all the original artwork redone on it.
Yeah.
So it was like $25, and it's one of those that's a really cool piece of just like, hey, it's a nice replica of an item that you can't find.
You know what we should do? Because I got the pins, and Beth got one of the Force for Change Stormtrooper shirts.
Nice.
And I picked up the big exclusive D23, Black Edition die-cast metal Star Wars figures. We should do an unboxing
We should do an unboxing, especially
with
that.
all of the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because you got an art like the shirts. You can't really unbox a shirt.
But no, we can just do like a D23.
But yeah, you can do easily that awesome Star Wars box.
Yeah, we should do that and put that up. Like
Yeah.
maybe get together next weekend and do that.
That would be cool.
Yeah. All right. So anything else from D23? Anything
What'd
that
you
I
get,
didn't
Shawna?
hear about? Shauna, yes. What'd you get?
Well, I got this.
I could see the Mickey Mouse.
This is like my favorite thing from the show. Like I saw this and I had to get it. It's also from Uniqlo, my Mickey Mouse pizza shirt.
It is Mickey Mouse logo pizza. Yes.
Yes, it's a pizza shirt. And then and also like my shopping highlight was probably the Mickey's at Glendale store too. I also got like a hoodie, t-shirt for myself, and a t-shirt for my boyfriend. And I also did pick up the R4D23 and the vinyl figure for my mom for her birthday because
Nice.
it was yesterday. I was like, you know what? I think she'll really like this, and she did love it.
Did you guys get into? Did you even attempt to go into the Disney store one?
We went into the Disney Dream store, which is where we got the RD23,
Right.
and we went into Mickey's at Glendale. The other one, we tried to get into that one, and because it was like 40 minutes until the show closed, they're like, we capped the line. So,
Beth stood in line for like literally 2.5 hours to get in there,
Jesus.
and that was basically just to get the Star Wars figures.
And we didn't even get in last time either because the line was
Why it was massive.
It just seems amazing to go to a show like that and you probably used more than a third of your day standing in line.
That's what
to
it
buy
seemed
stuff.
like,
It's
yeah.
not even. That's the thing that drives me crazy. That was Celebration was the same thing. Celebration
Mm-hmm.
was such a mess,
Well,
and
yeah,
it just
lucky
the whole
though.
thing is Celebration by the end of the first day. Like, well, we don't even wear T-shirts.
See, I was thinking about this with Beth, and I
Well,
told Beth.
because we got lucky. We went Friday, but like Mickey's at Glendale, we went in to go to the line. And like, well, it's like a 3-hour wait, and we were like, okay, we'll come back. And then we came back like an hour and a half, 2 hours later, and I was like, well, it's like 2 hours. So we're like, okay, let's do it. It's the end of the show, whatever. And then we were in line for 40 minutes, so they had greatly overestimated.
Exactly.
For a show like this,
And then
that
the
has-
Disney Dream Store, we were in line for maybe half an hour.
Oh, the Disney. We walked right into that one because we got to go in an hour early, so we walked straight into that one.
Okay.
And if we had known about, because the Disney at Glendale was all the way on the other
Yeah,
side.
it's right behind the.
Yeah.
It was right next to like the Maker Studios.
It's just like the Disney store. If we had known, because Beth and I were talking about this, we should have split up. One of us went to one store, one of us went to or got in line at the other store, because then it would have been a lot faster, and we could have gotten basically everything we want a lot quicker. But there was so much to see and do, and it was a very small con. But
Right.
it was so.
It took up the whole convention center. So
Yeah, but it was.
so
It was.
and it was. I appreciate how well organized at least the layout was. It was not difficult to move through, even the most crowded parts of the day.
Yeah.
It wasn't like going to like Celebration or WonderCon where it's like, I'm being sucked into the crowd. Save
And even where they were
yourselves.
having the autographs, or like the Disney Channel kids show up or something, they had a big area set up for
just autographs.
And you could still, if you didn't want to get in line to get in the autograph, there was still a spot to go over there and take pictures with. I
Right.
wish they could, like at the Marvel booth or something like that. I wish that's how they could set it up a little bit better, like that, to give them a queue line and stuff like that instead of everybody standing right in the aisle.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what they do because now that D23 is over, I'm sure that's when there will be Marvel stuff again at Comic-Con. San Diego
Yeah.
Comic-Con.
Like, you think they'll do it every other year, make their announcements like that?
Probably because they don't. I mean, they don't have to spend money at San Diego. They won't.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it'll be in 2 years from now. There won't be anything big at San Diego from Disney. But then D23 will be a month later.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, anybody else got anything they want to say before we wrap it up?
What was your favorite experience at the con, Ethan?
Yeah, Ethan, give us something.
I wasn't there.
Ethan's just excited for next week when Fear of the Walking Dead begins. Right?
Sure.
The man of many words. And on that note, let's wrap things up. So, make sure you check us out at our YouTube page. That's YouTube.com/Nerdables or /Nerdables. We're also at Facebook.com Nerdables. Wow. Facebook.com /Nerdables. We're also at
Why don't we just say slash?
/
I'm sure people will figure it out.
Facebook.com/Nerdables. How about just we're on Facebook at Nerdables. And at Twitter, we're at Nerdables Show. And make sure you start checking us out at our website. Again, we were going to start having new content once more. So,
You've been saying that for like 2 months.
I've been saying that. I'm still waiting for Sebastian to put some new stuff up too for us.
I talked to
Yeah,
Travis.
Sebastian.
Yes.
Travis is reading Thor stuff.
Okay.
Because he wants to do Throwback Thor's Day.
Cool.
And he wants to see why he wants to get into the mind of someone who likes Thor. And
Is
because
he reading Simonson's or is he reading?
I recommended Simonson to him, but he read early stuff. He's bounced around to some of the new stuff, and then I was like, "Well, check out Simonson." He's like, he didn't say much. He's like, "Simonson stuff is gorgeous, and it's a lot more fun than what he's reading." But he's like, he's trying to like he's trying to get like the big picture of Thor.
Sweet.
And he's trying to, so you'll probably see some Thor reviews because he's like, because Thor is not his favorite Marvel character. He's like, but a lot of people like him. I want to see what this is about.
Yeah. And then, Ethan, you're going to start giving us some Walking Dead stuff, right? Come on, get the microphone up there.
Why don't you do an unboxing
Sure.
of your Michonne swords?
Yeah, you should do an unboxing for your Michonne swords.
And we could cut some
No,
watermelons
he has
in the
a
backyard.
Michonne sword, and then he bought 2 more swords this weekend.
We'll go get some
Did you buy-
watermelons.
what's
and
the
you
black
can,
guy?
I think
War,
I
what
bought
was the other
4 this weekend, and I still spent less than Rich did on one of his Hot Toys figures.
we'll go get a watermelon cheap at the supermarket. You could chop the watermelon.
I don't think you can actually do anything with this one. Which one did you buy this week? You bought the God of War blades.
I bought, the Blades of Chaos. I bought the Book of Eli machete. And
Wow, you
just
bought
2
something from a movie
continuity.
that nobody's seen.
Yeah, because I've seen it. And I was like, that's a badass movie. And I saw it there in the shop, and I was like, okay.
And
Why?
still, you don't own any of the Game of Thrones swords.
Yeah, because they're like $300 a piece.
What are the other 2? You still only said the 2 that I actually saw.
And just 2 katanas I found.
You just found them?
Yeah, I just
You
saw
just picked them up off the floor?
Yes.
Like some ninja drop these.
No, they're not. They're not like replicas for anything. It's just I saw them.
Are you thinking the zombie apocalypse is happening?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
You're just getting yourself prepared.
Ethan's gonna be walking around like Deadpool with all these different swords.
Hell yeah.
Well, it's like the meme says where they show like some of the guys from
The Midwest.
you know the things like, so these are the people that are gonna get killed first because everyone who didn't get prepared, like, hey, that guy, hey, Jim's got shit in his house, let's go kill Jim and take his stuff.
So, anyways, make sure you check us out next week for another exciting episode of Nerdables.
Oh my